and my macro is not working.
Oh no.
That's okay.
John's back is going to start hurting from leaning into the camera.
Just adjust my spine a little bit.
Okay, all right, here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fable Table, an actual play live stream focused on critical world building, collaborative storytelling, and finding the fun in games. We're kicking off season 2 of the show with Birds of the Shore, our sci-fi campaign. Hell yeah! Joining me today are my good friends. Introduce yourselves, everyone, or at least just say hi.
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 Oh my god. So, this episode, we are gonna just be doing some world building. So this is not necessary to watch to enjoy the show. We'll be doing like a full intro of like the state of the shore and what else? What
He's
is going
lying
on.
to you. There's going to be a 20-question exam at the end of this.
This is the most important episode.
I mean, I agree, but it's also completely
Stop lying to
unnecessary.
them. Tamara will leave. Don't
No, don't
undersell yourself.
Okay. Yeah, so we're gonna be doing some world building. I have got our nope, that's not the right track. Let's do this one. I have got our cast going with some fiction of the setting. Basically, humans have fucked their solar system, and they spent generations building this like terraforming tech that they sent out along the arms of the Orion arm in the Milky Way galaxy. Cut to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years later, they have crossed the expanse, the stars, and they are they have settled. They are becoming a part of the galactic community with other races and species of creatures towards the like galactic center. But our story is going to be taking place on the opposite end of the Orion arm, the furthest reach in a sector of space called the Shore. And so I have tasked all of our players of coming up with some dystopian corporations that exist in this sector of space. So I have here on our roll 20, which I'll switch to this scene. I have like the skeleton of what our solar system looks like so far. We're going to be playing the main game using the Scum and Villainy system, which is a Forged in the Dark system, a lot like the one we use in the Grim Streets of Alderstone. And I'm going to steal a little bit of the fiction and lore, mostly just planets that I think are interesting from that system, but I'm not really going to use much of the fiction that they have for their planets and what they have going on. We're going to be building our own corporate hellscape. So yeah, this sector of space has, I've decided, 4 solar systems. Breck, Rin, which is the closest, like anyone leaving this sector of space to go to other sectors of human-occupied space, leave out of Rin. And then there is the Neota system with a strange blue sun we'll talk about. And then there's a twin sun system. I didn't come up with names for them. I can see that John is writing Iskandar, Emiya, Archer.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's a weeb of Fate, the anime.
Yeah, I am.
So
Well, you started it.
I sure did, didn't I? So, today for our world building, sorry, my puppy wanted to come inside. We are going to be playing a world building game called The Ground Itself, which the game requires us to pick a specific setting, like a location, and it is a game about places. So I first want us to go over all the homework, the corporations that we all came up with. I note that I want to note that our new cast member, Greg, welcome Greg. Greg Hansen was the first to turn in his homework very early on after the assignment. And then we had 2 people turn theirs in at the last minute and 1 outstanding. And I'm going to let you guess.
I was supposed to turn it in early?
I wasn't gonna out who was late, but
I just
alrighty.
needed that extra credit, right? Get the new teacher on my side.
That's right.
Mr. Bowen, I forgot to put it in my assignment notebook, and I'm so sorry. I just
Andy, do
Make
I
an
need to send you to
extension.
the principal's office?
yeah, I'll do my homework there. Bye.
Okay, well, the principal's office is John talking about how much he loves Dungeon World for an hour. So
God, I love Dungeon World. What a great system based off the 2D6 Apocalypse engine that I just love. It's so close and dear to my heart.
Is the child torture chamber from Matilda an option?
I'll admit I haven't watched it, so maybe.
Okay.
Oh, please do, Nick. We will have a watch party. I will make that happen. Matilda's so good.
Okay.
By the way, I just want you to know I fully developed my corporation and its evilness. I just didn't know I had to submit it. So
Yeah.
I'll send you a message. I'll DM it to you.
Just
what
put it
they
in
all
our
say.
lore channel, and we're all going to introduce our corporations right now anyway. So,
Okay.
who would like to go first? John, stop naming
Brad-
these things after
Brad,
fate.
get it.
You want
Look,
me to
you
go
turned it
first?
in. You
Okay.
lead us off.
I will lead us off then. So, here in the shore, there is a relatively newcomer to the corporate landscape known as Wacom. Their influence and wealth have grown significantly since their inception, and Wacom is now considered a power player in the solar system of Neota that you see there with the blue star. The company's primary product is an implant that they have developed that allows a synthetic connection to what is known as the Way, a mysterious kind of force or power that seems to arise in people that are near this blue sun and grow up in it. This synthetic implant allows anyone, regardless of their natural proclivities, to connect to the Way and grants them a form of limited telepathy. Since growing into the power player they are, they've expanded their products to include all kinds of synthetic implants and prosthetics that the humans of the shore may be in need of. Wacom is centered on a planet in the Neota solar system that is heavily industrialized, with large metal cities made of concrete as well, but the large standing skyscrapers and apartment buildings kind of loom over you. To visitors without this implant or natural telepathy, it is a depressing industrial planet, people packed into these cities like sardines in a can. However, to the synthetic telepaths that call this planet home, the dull neon tubes lighting the dim city streets are in fact awash with bright and colorful advertisements, the news broadcasts, entertainment, stunning vistas of natural beauty, and more. These tubes themselves are the way lines built and maintained by Wacom. This form of psychically augmented reality via the way lines controls almost all aspects of people's lives in the planet. Government, news, education, shopping, work has all shifted through the way lines. And as such, the people have grown a dependency on their synthetic implants and fear losing their access to the way lines. All of which is money in Wacom's pockets, as they require a subscription fee to keep any and all of their prosthetics running and connected to the way lines.
Thank you.
That is my planet. Yes,
That's fantastic. Do you have a name for this planet or the city?
I have not named it. I figured that we could name it ourselves in our game here tonight if we wanted to dive into that planet in particular, or we can name it later. But it is currently nameless.
Nice. I like that. That's totally fine so far. Love to leave blank spaces for later. Cool. Any questions or thoughts about Greg's corporation, Wacom?
How often do you think they would get sued on a daily basis?
Seeing is that they are in control of the planet's government and education and all of the surrounding organizations very negligibly ever. I would probably assume that any court that would dare sue them probably would have their own power lines surreptitiously disconnected from the system.
You wouldn't say they would buy out the new largest law firm within Bashar, having robotics offices within every court building within this sector. Standing for Automatic Magistrate Services, AMS provides mediation and lobbying to nearly all corporations within Bashar. Delicious. Additionally, they provide legal services for the individual at several different levels, able to automatically post bail for petty crimes to expediting trials for murder. Guys, I wrote Science Hell for all lawyers everywhere. If you love legality, don't come here. The machines do it. That's it. That's all I wrote.
And I like yours being an exception, that like they don't have, it doesn't sound like they have like a headquarters or anything in the sector. They're probably like an intersector service.
Yeah. You know, posting bail, posting bounties for people who run the fuck off. You know. It even has a little quote. AMS, standing between you and injustice. Download the application for your first 20-minute consultation, free.
I love it. Very nice. Okay, I did have some questions for Greg to follow up on his, but we'll flush yours out here.
Through them.
Do you think that AMS also manages like prisons?
No, that's boring.
Okay.
Machines can't imprison your mind. Can they? I say, looking at my webcam in this tiny cell of a room that I dwell within for hours on end.
John, you only exist in this small frame.
That's true. Once I leave this camera view, I stop existing in real life.
Like John Oliver, you live in a void.
It seems like AMS might not run the prisons, but is probably de facto contracting the prisons, at least in my mind, right? Like it would be very awkward to have this like giant server network on every planet in the system and then also pay for the like physical space when they could just like, you know, shuck a few dollars towards somebody to build whatever hellhole their mind desires and send people that way.
I like the idea that it's just a third-party software that is so prevalent and pirated and easily accessible that everybody owns like their own automated lawyer now, and it's just for like different levels. So you can like sue a guy no matter where you are in this world, but because he bought a better version, like he doesn't have the like WinRAR version that you just download for free and say you'll pay. Like he actually bought the WinRAR service. This guy is going to blow the fuck out of your automated lawyer and just win the case easy. Yeah.
Okay, I love it. So do you? I kind of put it out there that I thought this would be a great kind of service to be kind of like intergalactic or like across all of Earth occupied space, and it just happens to be one that also exists on the shore. Is that something you feel is appropriate, or is it local to this area?
That's fine. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
If there's a like WinRAR version, how do the like corporate interests make money or capital or something off of like free users?
They don't. Instead, they make
How
money off of
magnanimous.
the great, lovely people who actually want to win their cases and bribe the enemy machines within simulated lawyer battles.
Oh, so does the free version just kind of suck a little bit? Like
Oh,
it's
it
just
sucks
like
a lot. Yeah, it's just like, wow, we're probably gonna lose, man.
I may be just a humble AI from the country.
Exactly.
It's
But
like
meanwhile, the megacorps have like 20 million versions of this, and is essentially its own entity. Just being like, I have won every single case known to man, and I have simulated a way to defeat the cases that I have lost and appeal them.
Is it like buying into like those chess engines that have like huge databases and information and faster processing power? They can, you know, see deeper into the arguments and moves.
Yeah, for sure.
And they're just gonna crush the lesser knockoff version or free version.
10 out of 10 times. 100 out of 100 times.
Okay.
They're gonna destroy any human lawyer as well. Mm-hmm. Why would you put your trust in a living mortal who must sleep and will die one day when you could just have the law at your fingertips?
Yeah. More billables. Okay. So I do want to go back to Wacom for a minute about talking about their like way lines and this synthetic telepathy. Is this a new product or a new like is this newly researched tech, or is this something?
I think this is recent.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I think this is a product of, like, I don't know how long in our fiction people have lived on the shore, but clearly from the like lore that you've given us, there's enough time for people to have lived and developed like a connection to the way. It's a noticed effect.
Yes.
And so recently this company was like, we see an opportunity, right? Maybe they were into prosthetics before, but this is the technology that put them on the map. And so in the time that they have existed, they have manufactured this, made it, globally available. They have everybody on it and have developed this new way of living through the augmented way lines. Mm-hmm. But probably is new enough that it hasn't really reached outside of the system or even the planet maybe yet.
Okay. It hasn't gone beyond this planet much.
Potentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, right, because it is a lot of it is bound by those way lines you mentioned. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions about Wacom or AMS, Automated Magistrate Services? Automatic Magistrate Services?
Doesn't Wacom, didn't you already in your lore also say that Wacom manufactures other types of implants as well?
Absolutely, yeah. None of them connected to the way itself, but you need a new heart, Wacom's got you. You need you lost your leg in a factory incident, we got one of those for you. Got to pay a subscription fee, keep that active, but we got you. If it's a synthetic or like implant or prosthetic, they'll do it. Including like transhumanism to some extent, right? Like you need eyes that see better, we'll get you those.
Gotcha. Nice.
Pretty cool.
All right. Brian, Andy, would either of you like to go next?
Writing out my homework still perfectly, and so give me another minute or two. Brian,
No worries, Andy. I got you. I started with a planet for mine. I started with the planet Alligar. Alligar is a planet of ever-shifting motion. The surface of the planet is constantly changing. As tectonic plates move, lava churns on the surface, and the ground itself continually just keeps folding back in upon itself. This constant pressure has led to the creation of soul crystals, highly condensed collections of carbon that give off light. When an electrical current is run through a soul crystal, it tremendously amplifies the power output of the current, creating a large power source that runs on minimal fuel, as long as the crystal doesn't become corrupted. Corrupted soul crystals degrade over time, losing their power efficiency and occasionally exploding. if the degradation goes too far. High above the surface of Algar is Gorin, a moon with a hospitable living atmosphere and small archipelago-style island chains. Mining camps have developed on these islands as well as the transportation hub city of Miden. These mining camps, as well as most of Miden's infrastructure, are under the control of the Loracon Consortium. Mining transports depart daily from Gorin to the surface of Algar, where miners dig into the surface and carefully extract soul crystals before the plates shift and close up the mine shafts. Many workers are needed to quickly extract crystals, as a mine that is still open when a shift ends may have collapsed upon itself when the next shift has arrived. Needless to say, this work is highly dangerous and the job has a high turnover rate.
Mm-hmm.
For my corporation, I decided to go with the Loracon Consortium. The Loracon Consortium consists of numerous industries that mine, process, shape, and transport soul crystals. The ability to provide the sector with a continuous energy supply has allowed them to develop a large and influential position. The Consortium controls most aspects of life on Gorin, including food production, housing, and consumer goods for the large amount of miners that live there. It's hard-pressed to find someone who lives on Gorin that does not earn their living in some way from the Loracon Consortium. The Consortium has recently been in the news cycle due to a wave of lawsuits from faulty soul crystals that degrade quickly and have to be replaced at a substantial cost to the consumer. Some have even accused the Consortium of intentionally degrading the soul crystals to increase their profit margins, but no proof of these claims has been presented. The Loracon Consortium has assured the sector that recent degradation of soul crystals has been the result of poor maintenance and misuse, and that the Loracon Consortium will continue to provide the public with a high-quality source of sustainable energy for decades to come.
Wow. So their position is that it's poor maintenance that's causing the crystals to go bad?
Of course it's not their fault. Their crystals are fantastic. What are you talking about?
So when people say, like, well, isn't that your equipment? What do they say?
Well, I mean, the crystals shipped to you in a good shape. If you can't maintain your own equipment and it causes degradation of the crystals, then it's your fault.
Okay, of the user's equipment.
We can sell you a new crystal at a high price.
Okay.
Make sure you get that one that's degraded, properly shipped back to us before it explodes.
Oh my god. Okay. So a couple questions I have. So these crystals seem like they're maybe not abundant. Maybe they're very difficult to get, but very useful and valuable power source.
Yes.
How prominent are these soul crystals being used in the shore? Or are they like being shipped out of the sector to make big buku bucks?
I don't want to give a specific answer for that because that's more, I think, a world building question that we'd have to establish. I'm comfortable with the Loracon Consortium having been in the shore for decades and tons of things running on soul crystals all across the entire sector. Or it could be something that they export if we don't want to have crazy power sources readily and super easily available.
Yeah, I think that's a good question, and kind of what I was gonna try and get at is like the sense of scale of power, because like being able to just output, a multitude of power based on your current will really set the tone for how advanced our technology gets.
Can I ask a question of scale?
Yeah.
Just in terms of cost, is this cheap on a large megacorp level? Like, oh yeah, we throw $1 million easy, but not cheap at a personal level. Like, I want to go fly my spaceship over there, but I'm not using these soul crystals from the Loracon Corporation because I can't put $500,000 down on something like that, right? Or a million cred or something. Or is it widely cheap to everyone? Like, is everyone's able to use this?
I think the intention that I had was that it's relatively cheap, and sure, you can power your ship on a soul crystal for the next 6 months, and then you're gonna have to buy a new one because it's probably gonna degrade on you. And then 6 months from that, you're gonna have to buy a new one again. And they're gonna catch you by bits and pieces as opposed to one big upfront cost.
Okay. Gotcha. So they're really good but really expensive, and they don't last. Or you said it was cheap but
No,
they don't last
they're
very
really
long.
good, and they're not super expensive, but
Okay.
it's not going to last you too long.
Okay.
I tried to leave a bunch of open threads there to help weave stories.
Okay.
Exploding crystals, potentially corrupt corporation, likely a corrupt corporation, but we'll have to see.
Okay. Cool. I think I had one other question. Oh yes, the miners when they go to this lava planet. Is it hot on the surface when they land and mine?
Absolutely.
Okay.
They will need to be. They have specifically mining suits that they have to wear to avoid burning up on the surface. The work is hard. It is dangerous. There's a chance that they're mining crystals and the whole shaft collapses on them and kills them. And then they have to work quick. They have to work fast because that same mine shaft might be gone in 6 hours because the plates of the planet have shifted and everything just folds back in on itself again. That's why so much pressure is created. And that's why these crystals are so abundant.
What do you think of the idea that their schedules are like just absolutely inconsistent? Like they like basically are told by, some scientists that are keeping an eye on the planet and like scanning it and taking measurements constantly. And then they're just like, okay, we think this tectonic plate is going to be safe long enough for y'all to get in. You'll have the 16 hours that a full shift is. So head to that one.
I think that's perfect, Robot Nick. Absolutely.
Oh, am I going robotic?
Maybe just a little bit.
Just for a second.
You're better.
You're smooth now. You're just roboted a little bit.
Okay.
The joke was funnier until you pushed the explanation out for like 20 more seconds, and then I kind of lost it. But
Okay.
Welcome to Fable Table, where we ruin every comedic moment.
Yeah. Folks watching the stream, let me know if I'm also stuttering or crapping out to you all. Okay.
Can I ask some questions of Shadow here?
Of course.
First question I have is, do all soul crystals degrade, or is it truly, like as the corp claims, that poor maintenance degrades them?
I think that soul crystals, and in the like looking from the background, no, they don't degrade. I think it's the corporation that's causing the problem.
Okay.
That's going to be up to Nick in the game and how he wants to play it, how he wants to develop it, and how he wants to weave that story.
Okay.
Because then if you went to the planet and you got your own, would it last for a lot longer? You bet your ass it would.
Okay. Very cool. You, in your description of them, you say that they require minimal fuel. What fuels the crystals?
Electrical current. So however you decide to create your electrical current to run it through the crystal, it amplifies the current to the point where this is not a power source in and of itself. It expands your power source. So in other words, if you could use small amounts of fuel that would minimally power maybe like several lamps and maybe like a light bulb, but running it through the soul crystal, you can now power your spaceship.
So you do require alternative fuel sources to some extent. Okay. I'm sorry, John. I rolled over you there. What was up?
I'm making silly comments. You're free to do so. I'm just gonna try to sneak them in whenever I sense an opportunity.
And then I have a question on your thoughts here with the planet and the mining of it. It has a lot of high turnover. It's very difficult. You have implied deaths. Is this all voluntary? Is it, like actual waged job, or do you think that these may have like some kind of prison system set up to mine these, like the undesirables of the system end up getting sent to mine these crystals?
My thoughts on it was that it's a paid job and the wages are pretty decent because the work is incredibly dangerous. However, as I think Nick was talking about last week, maybe this is due to everybody, we were trying to build a society where the workers don't have a lot of choice in their life, as in they don't have a lot of opportunities other than what's going on. Here on Alagar and Gorin, there's mining, and there's the support system that supports the mining. That's about it. So either you're a miner or you're making shit wages doing something else, and you're barely passing by.
Okay. Cool. That's what I got.
Excellent. Okay. I'm noticing I'm continuing to drop frames, so we'll keep an eye on that. And if things get bad, please let us know in the chat. Andy,
Hello.
I haven't read your post if you've posted yet.
I did, so I'll go ahead and read it for you in my dramatic reading. As colonies, communities, and business ventures rise and fall, the system is rife with children abandoned, children in need, and children who are hungry and ambitious to make their own mark in this new world. Enter the Harkaway Fellowship, founded by Emmingstone Harkaway III, who, while on merchant voyage from Mem to Warren, rescued the survivors of a juvenile prison ship that had lost power. Being the kind and loving soul that he was, Emmingstone converted his cargo bay into a makeshift barracks to house the unfortunates. Upon arrival at Warren, he docked his ship as a home for the kids until they could make it on their own. Sure, he took a cut of what scraps and scores the children could nab off the streets, but how else would such a kind and generous soul keep the lights on? His billions? Now, centuries later, the fellowship that carries his name has scores of ships flying around the system, housing the children in need and getting them education and employment where the work is needed. Their flagship, the HMS Javier de Balmas, careens through the system, farming out affordable labor to noble farmers, miners, factory owners, enterprising scientists, and any who need the elbow grease that turns the wheels of industry. Children of Harkaway Fellowship can be found on any habitable world, and even some less friendly, working hard for Harkaway's clients and making something of themselves in this galaxy full of opportunity. Harkaway Fellowship stays mobile so as to meet the needs of temporary or permanent labor, houses, feeds, and supports the unfortunate lost or forgotten children of the system, and teaches its charges that unions and labor organization are nothing less than cardinal sins. Does your business need a helping hand? Call on Harkaway to throw children at the problem. Our rates are reasonable, our resources deep, and, of course, as a decent fellowship of orphanages, tax-free.
Oh my god. I didn't realize we were playing a Victorian era game. My bad.
Cartoonish level villainy. Who doesn't like it?
There you go.
Oh my god. Wow,
It's
Andy.
fantastic.
I don't even know what to do with that right now.
So first of all, fuck you for thinking I didn't do my homework.
It's clear you did.
Second of all, if you're a science history nerd out here, their flagship, the HMS Javier de Balmas, named after the guy who brought the smallpox vaccine to the New World in an era before refrigeration by using 30 some odd orphans throughout the voyage to slowly infect one after the other to keep the virus alive. That was his vaccine, so as to bring it to the New World. And upon arrival, I believe in Venezuela is where they landed. He was literally down to his last orphan, who he immediately ran to shore and started using to inoculate other people.
Wow.
Prehistoric problems require prehistoric solutions, I guess.
So the galaxy runs on orphans, and
The galaxy runs on orphans.
we accept this notion to be true at the
Oh,
Harkaway Fellowship.
yeah. Okay.
Questions?
I have a few
Notes.
questions to allow me to gather his thoughts.
Hold on.
Industry needs labor. Okay.
Well, yeah, one at a time.
True.
Brian, you said you had questions or thoughts?
How many ships do they have here in the sector?
I wrote dozens in the description. Their flagship is the big one, but they have traveling nomadic orphanages essentially that coast around wherever the work is needed. So
Okay.
they-
Sorry. Is there a graduation program for orphans, or like, do they? What happens when they retire?
I mean, like anyone brought up in a limited educational system, they are sent on their way to make their way in the world, and some are successful, and most are laborers, and they go on their way. After they age out, like any orphanage, the orphanage says good luck and gives them a sandwich and a pat on the back and sends them on their way.
Okay.
Dang.
At least
There's no upward mobility. They don't do in hires at all.
You know, at least give him a nice watch or something, just a sandwich.
Just a fucking sandwich.
I mean,
off to Alligar you go, buddy.
We're talking about humble billionaires who can't fawn riches on their charges. Okay.
Okay.
Otherwise, how would they learn?
Yeah.
Said it was the Hathaway Corporation.
Harkaway.
Harkaway.
Yes, Harkaway Fellowship is
Harkaway Fellowship. Thank you.
Yeah. Because remember, it's a nonprofit, so they're tax free. So it's
It's not a joint question for you and Nick.
Just so you know, also means that their clients can write off the hiring of their orphans. The labor is tax free for the clients as well.
Oh my god. It's
So in other words, it's like prison labor from Shawshank. In other words, they get the cheapest out because they don't have to pay the taxes on it.
I was told to make a corporation from a capitalist hell, and I was inspired by horrible things that exist in our capitalist hell.
You succeeded, my friend.
Good
You
job.
succeeded.
This is like
Well done.
the foster system merges does the Super Saiyan transfusion or whatever it's called. I don't watch Dragon Ball, but with like a headhunter association, like a headhunter agency.
In short, I described it as a temp agency powered by orphans.
Okay. Thank you.
And I actually think that the clients hiring them, be it a mining company or whatever, the language they would use is fostering. We're fostering this group of kids, giving them college credit on mining courses, and they have the work placement to beef up the quality of their study.
I'm writing, quote, "We're fostering kids, skills, and the prosperity of the shore."
Mm-hmm.
Does the Harkaway Foundation Fellowship, provide additional training for a debt to be repaid once released from the Harkaway Fellowship?
Ooh.
What do you mean?
So something a new hiree might do in like Amazon is get paid to increase their skills, some kind of, whether it's college or whether it's just learning better Photoshop or programming or something, right? But the cost of paying for those would be essentially a student loan to the corporation, right? That needs to be repaid as they either level up in the corporation or leave. So I'm imagining a way that the fellowship pads its coffers a little bit might be to give those credits that you spoke about to people, teach them the better mining, and then say, okay, you're leaving us now, but you owe us 100,000 cred.
I'm sure there are amongst, this is one of the things where you have different ships around the system. They will run however their captain and directors, their Fagans, if you will, run them and choose to exert their control. So I'm sure there are some that in debt and effectively indenture their kids once they graduate them out, but the kids are, they're in need. They need a place to stay. This place offers them housing and food. and asks for their cooperation. And after that, the kids don't really get anything, so there's not a lot to to indebt them with. All the money they generate goes back to the fellowship to help other orphans. Wink, wink.
Um, you use a term, the Fagin.
Yes.
Can you spell that for me? And what is that?
Fagin. It's a Oliver Twist reference, but it's that's the job title of the people who run each ship. They are the chief Fagin of so like the HMS Javier de Balmas has a chief Fagin who determines how the labor is distributed. He's they don't want to say executive officer because that's a company, and this is an orphanage. They just take care of kids here.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Does the fellowship have agreements with some of the corporations that have really risky jobs that basically they have first dibs to come in when there is a workplace accident and kids are okay? Yeah.
And if the business can demonstrate that they themselves will provide a commensurate environment for the person to live, they can adopt the kid and fully take them on and as a laborer for their company. So.
Okay.
For a nominal fee, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, there's processing and there's
Administration,
administrative fees, and there's a donation optional but mandatory box, and
capital O optional.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Y'all went super corporate hellscape on me. Fuck.
That was our homework, Nick.
I don't want to play in this game anymore.
Hey, Andy, is the Harkaway Fellowship welcome in all areas of the sector, or are there people who are like, no, we don't want to bring child labor into our area?
I mean, I imagine that there are, more respectable places that would, not want that seen or not want to be associated with it. But, bodies are bodies, and labor is labor. And, I think places where they need the work done, they don't care as much. I would also guess, and this might be tipping, too much about what I sort of thought about the character I might be building for this, but I'm sure there are communities of graduates out there who, are disillusioned about their experience and have formed kind of communities of other former Harkaway kids who are finding their own way in a more equitable community, not in the cutthroat orphanage experience of being on board one of the Harkaway ships. So,
is that what you're going to call them, Harkaway kids?
I haven't come up with a more clever name yet, but I'm sure I will.
I think you'll probably come up with a really clever name, and I'm looking forward to what you figure out.
I like a Harkaway adults just as a contrast. I don't know. I'm also not clever.
Here we're playing a card game now.
Yes,
the ground itself, Apollo.
Yeah, let's jump into that. So we are gonna play the ground itself. Now that we have a bit more of our system fleshed out. This is a game about places over time. Think about places that have been important to you. Your childhood fort under the rose bush, your first apartment, the one with the view, the town where your grandmother spent her last few years. Or think about places that have been or will be important to others. A city-state in revolt, an ant colony, a generation ship 400 centuries into its voyage towards another star. Although there may be times during the game when we are compelled to widen or narrow our focus, this is not possible for us. The story we are building is about this place, this field, this star, this city, this tree, this crossroads. No matter how we feel about our characters, if they leave our frame, we may not follow. Our camera is anchored to our place and may not pivot or stray. Remember that places have memory, that what has happened here is always, in some small or big way, written into the walls, the stones, or the future of the people who continue to live here. Fundamentally, this is a game about the echoes and traces we leave for others after we're gone. So, we have described a bit of history of this place and some of the current corporations in the present that are pretty dark. So I want this game to be about the shore and what makes it special. What is interesting about this place over time, and we can kind of elaborate on what that means further. So that's our introduction. Let me read Getting Started. Okay. Establish whether you will read aloud in turns or whether one person will take on the role of facilitator during the setup. Regardless, these rules should be read aloud by the group. Do we want to take turns reading these cards?
I would like that.
Okay,
Yes.
great.
100% agree.
Greg, do you want to take over on this card?
Oh, absolutely.
2.1.
So we are getting started.
Second paragraph.
Point out the virtual decks of cards, which I can't because I'm not a DM.
Yep,
on
there
this.
they are.
Hey, we have multiple decks of cards. They're down here in the bottom. I'm trying to ping them. It's not working. There we are. You will use these cards in 2 stacks. 1, 2. Jacks, queens, kings, face cards, and numbers, aces through 10s. Shuffle each stack and place them face down on the table. The face card stack will be used during the setup, and the number cards during the main gameplay. Nick, place for me a die upon the table.
This is Roll20. We have dice.
Nick,
We have dice. All right.
What,
You
John?
cannot
he
see
told you to put a dice
Oh
on
my
the table.
God.
This card
Fucking
read,
do it.
put a dice out there.
There you
What
go,
are you
John.
doing?
There you go,
Thank
John.
you.
There's a
Right.
3.
We have a die on the table. This die will be used to establish our timeline. Touch the sheet of paper. Ooh. Touchy, touchy. The paper will be used to take
Nick, put a sheet of paper on this.
Fuck you.
Go to your printer, get a piece of printer paper, and put it against your camera. Nice.
All right. The paper will be used to take very brief notes about names, places, and other story developments. You may choose to elect a scribe or to all take turns writing notes. Optionally, you may decide to skip taking notes entirely, merely relying on collective memory. Note the stop sign. Aha.
Yes.
And the slow down sign on the board. This is a consent mechanic. Some stories are hard to tell, and some games are scary to play, especially when the Harkaway Fellowship's involved. If this sign is pinged at any point by any player, the game must immediately pause. It may not be resumed until everyone takes a break and discusses the reason for the pause and any possible adjustments to the story that need be made. Only after collectively deciding whether to end or continue the game may it resume. Begin!
Excellent.
Yeah.
We just for transparency, we as a group last week had some conversations about some of our lines and veils, things we are not going to show on camera, and things that we just don't even talk about at all. So I expect that we won't have to use these necessarily, but they're still there just in case. We very much value safety on the show. I tried to separate these a little more, so if they're pinged, it's a little more clear, but I think it's good where they're at. Okay.
Is the function of the stop and slow down specifically just for those kind of topics, or is it also like, I'm not sure this story is going in the direction the rest of us think it is going, and just like a course correction for the group?
I think using it for those things is good as well. Like,
Can we bring contempt tokens back, Nick? I like that.
No, we're
I
gonna
was
leave
say
those.
that, John.
We're gonna leave those behind for now, John. This is not supposed to be a contemptuous game. It
I
may
really
be.
like contempt tokens, Nick.
Okay, well, you just go ahead and say contempt, and you keep track on your own piece of paper there, John.
Okay.
Do you have paper in your void?
I have tissue paper.
Okay, you just
I
use
use it.
that. Okay.
I got Greg with that one.
All right, let's do the next one.
I'll do
2.2,
it.
our setting.
Got it. You want me to do it?
Yes, please.
Yeah. The setting for our game. Okay, no, I'm not going to do that voice. The setting for our game should be decided collaboratively around the table. This may be emergent, for example. One player may suggest a place that involves animals. Another player may amend this suggestion to mean a zoo. A third player may agree, but suggest making it a zoo planet established as a biodiversity reserve in the far future. You may feel out multiple options, but try not to say no to other suggestions. Rather, build on top of existing ideas or ask clarifying questions to create a place that is everyone's. Remember that everything we see happen over the course of our game occurs in the single location. We cannot move outside of our established frame or see any other actions or events elsewhere. Be prepared to spend time in the place that you choose. This place does not need to be thoroughly mapped out, Nick. For now, the barest description that may be summed up in a few sentences will suffice. We will discover it together during play. Decide this now. The process should go around the table and take no more than a few minutes. Everyone should contribute.
It's contribute, but
Oh,
thanks. Yeah.
contribute.
Okay.
Contribute.
Contribute.
Okay. Yes. So this is where we need to decide, like, what do we want the camera to focus on? Do we want it to be the shore as a whole, or do we want to zoom in maybe on one of these planets or corporations or like a ship, a space station, anything like is anything that we talked about so far jumping out to anyone?
I don't want to focus on the entire shore because that seems like a lot to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think we should narrow it down.
Yes.
Do you have a suggestion as to something that piques your interest?
Yeah, we see Warren, this capital,
Yes.
and then I see a shit ton of uninhabitable planets like Alligar and a gas giant and industry pollution. Why don't we focus on whatever this planet that I have tentatively named Saber is going to be, which looks semi-Terran.
Yeah. So one thing that might be worth talking about is we can always like go back in time and talk about how these places looked in the shore's past and like work forward through our timeline, which we haven't talked about yet. But that's one of the mechanics of this game is we can set it to move forward in days, weeks, years, decades, centuries, and millennia even. So that's something to consider. What does everyone think about John's idea of focusing on an entirely different planet?
I think that's fine.
Yep.
One thing that I might suggest, and I don't know if the other players are interested in this or not, but if we zoom in on a like a single planet or location like that, I think maybe that's where our campaign should start.
Mm-hmm.
So like at the end of it, like we're playing in the world building that we've done.
100%.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
I like the idea of Saber merely because it's close to Wacom, which is Greg's area, and all the rest of us have aspects of our corporation that can show up anywhere in the shore. And so therefore it allows us to weave all four of our corporations into the story, which I think is important as a set location for this static world building where we're not supposed to move away.
Okay.
All right.
Then I say we start there.
Okay.
Seconded.
Are we
Very
cool with naming this planet Saber?
It's a strong name. A name
What's
for
the what? So Saber has like the
spell it
dark
not right.
saber or whatever from the like future AMV. What is that one called?
AMV. Oh, you mean Saber Alter?
Oh, is that literally what she's
that's-
called? I thought she had a
Literally
name.
what she's called, bro. She's
I do not
okay.
want to talk about fate. I am hitting
I'm gonna
stop.
talk about fate now that
I'm
you
hitting
opened that
stop
door for
right
me,
now.
Nick and Greg.
Okay.
Okay.
Then Saber it is.
All right, we'll zoom in on Saber here. We are not naming our sons Emiya and Archer for fuck's sake.
I'll settle for Iskander.
No,
if you want.
I'm done. I'm done with
What
your
about
shit.
Ryder? You like Ryder?
Okay,
Nick? I
does
know he's your favorite
anyone
from the
have any
Fate series.
Since this sector of space, the shore, will identify, like, oh, in the Neota system, the Breck system, the Rin system, and then whatever these twin suns are. Do we have a name for this system or names for these suns? Any suggestions?
Cloak and Dagger.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I think that's a hard no from Nick, Andy, but I like them.
Any
What were the twin Greek gods? Apollo and Artemis. Is that right?
oh god.
I think. Yeah, I think
a hard
you're
no
right.
from Nick.
Well, now people are just gonna think I'm so full of myself. I named a son after me.
I know, because I had to throw it out there just to see.
What are the
Yeah,
Roman names?
That's a good idea.
Ooh.
Oh fuck! I knew that at one time. Not
Oh,
Mercury.
you want to know what Apollo's Roman name was?
Nick.
It's Apollo.
It was Apollo and Phoebus. Oh wait, no. Wait, is that the same person?
Diana, I think.
Apollo's just
Diana is goddess of the hunt in Rome,
Yeah.
in Roman myth.
Okay.
Could they be Diana and Minerva? They're like sisters.
I like that.
I like it too.
yeah.
Oh, I should have named the bigger one Minerva. That's fine.
I mean, you can still swap them.
Nope.
Yep.
It fits. It fits. It fits. It was just really close. Okay. All right. Okay. Who would like to read our timeline as we? Oh wait, we need to hang on before we move on. Our setting. We need like a brief description of this place. I believe it doesn't need to be thoroughly mapped out for now. The barest description that may be summed up in a few sentences will suffice. So let's all add a detail about this planet or settlement.
Mossy.
What's that?
What was that?
Mossy. Covered in moss.
Mossy. Okay.
Rock.
Oh, I
and
thought you were gonna
fucking
make me have to break out my like bad Australian accent.
It's mossy. Okay, so it's a lichenous.
Sorry, mossious maybe is a better
Is-
word to use.
Is that a real word?
It's mossified. All right.
Jesus.
Could have just called it green. We would have understood.
Okay.
It's mossy.
I'm gonna add that. Oh, let me think for a second. Yeah, the settlement has a pretty major spaceport in it.
I can add something.
Yeah.
I want this place to be 70% land.
Okay. Excellent. Oh,
Base.
someone else
Now
adding. No.
140% land.
Why can't I click that? Oh, there we go. Okay. What else? What else do we feel like will be important to the setting of this of Saber? Why was this place settled?
Because it was terraformed and people came here. Sorry, I'm thinking.
Oh, I like that. It's a planet that's been successfully terraformed.
Mm-hmm.
So it has a lot of sort of like optimally designed characteristics as opposed to other places where the terraforming maybe got away
I
from them.
actually like that. Can we call it like tiered or layered? Like this has been not only optimally designed, but there's like that fantasy junk where like the moss runs right up to the edge of the forest, to the edge of the Arctic, right? Like there's like an almost
A clear
British
biome.
people drawing squares on a map to the geography.
Sure.
Oh, interesting. So
Truly designed.
So in our history, which I articulated to the players, and I mentioned briefly during the intro, there was this. I'm not going to call it Soul Genesis tech. Soul meaning like from our solar system. I'm just going to call it Genesis tech because I don't want to get it confused with the Loracon soul crystals. So from moving forward, I'm just going to call it Genesis tech. So the Genesis tech I was imagining would. Yeah, I guess I did say terraform. I was imagining not like major scale, like, preparing the entire planet for settlement, but just like, okay, we're gonna, hurl an asteroid, we're gonna, melt some ice, get the atmosphere where we want it to be and the temperature and all that, and then we're just gonna like leave behind like a small settlement for the first humans to colonize it, and then they can just go from there.
What if this planet, unique among the others in the shore, was terraformed prior to the arrival of the Genesis tech?
Ooh, like other aliens terraformed it, but then just never.
Who
showed up.
knows?
Ooh.
Yeah, we might decide that in play.
Okay.
So this is a settlement on a world that inexplicably has perfectly bordered terraformed spaces.
The computers showed up and were like, planet done, and just dropped a settlement.
I hope there was one computer who changed like one thing and was like, look at this perfect job I did.
Right, it picked up a rock.
All me right here. I did it.
Nice.
Break some stuff in the atmosphere and turn the moss from like lime green to like dark green, and then it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Do we want this planet to be sparsely populated or like densely populated?
By what?
As in, is it tiered and terraformed and like the entire planet is sectioned out and has like 4 billion people? Or is this a planet that has these tiered terraformed areas, tons of land, but still only has like a couple million that live upon it?
Make the call, Brian.
I would say
I don't mind either way.
early stages, not fully settled yet.
I like the idea of it being sparsely populated because it allows for more interesting stories and developments to go here. If it's super densely populated, then there's going to be thousands of things for us to think about as we start our game, as opposed to narrowing it down and growing from there.
Okay.
I agree.
All right.
I assume that since they're early, the moss that's there can support livestock and stuff, and they're growing livestock. But in the meantime, while they're early in farming and early in livestock population, they're just eating the moss, which is nutritious but tastes like absolute fucking garbage.
Yeah.
So it's a community of like vaguely unhappy but well-fed people.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh my god, I want the whatever settlement we start in, I want the local bar to serve this moss as a delicacy, and then we can call it the Moss Family Kitchen.
Is this the meme that's going to transcend every fucking game we play? Just Moss has something to do with it? Is that what
Oh
we're
my
doing
god.
now?
Welcome to Moss Table, a Moss Play podcast. So
Let's go to our timeline, Nick.
it's really quick. I'm just writing this down. People are well fed, but with disgust or like gross moss.
Yeah, so flavor is at a premium, like salt
Oh.
and seasoning and like off-planet food is like a currency.
Okay.
Oh, big body of salt water. It's all fresh water for
It's
some
all
reason.
30% of this planet is fresh water. Hell yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I spelled delicacies right, but there it is. Okay. Yes. Who would like to read about our timeline?
I'll take that one. This game is played in 4 cycles, and each cycle is separated by a gap in time. One player rolls the 6-sided die. Nick, you put a oh no, it is 6-sided die. Never mind. And the record and records the result. This die will determine the unit of time that this gap is measured in, and this metric stays for the remainder of the game. So a 1 means days, which might lend itself to an intimate and close textured story, and a 6 means millennia. You are playing the game over thousands of years, and what was here may not survive these jumps in recognizable ways. Decide as a group if there are any of these that don't make sense for the kind of story you want to tell. 1 days, 2 weeks, 3 years, 4 decades, 5 centuries, and 6 millennia. This unit of time will affect the way the story is told. If you roll days, your action should be quick-paced, happening in a now that may see a few hours pass. If you rolled centuries or millennia, your now may be years or even decades. If the collective group feels that the given timeline is antagonistic to the story that you would like to tell, you may re-roll. However, try to think broadly. A story that was about a high school may instead be about the fields that were there before, the place abandoned in the future, and the stones that are underneath it all. Conversely, a story that was at first glance about the movements of empire may narrow, instead focusing on one late summer week, the golden city that knows things are changing soon. You will begin by playing in the period of time you established during setup. You will not move around in time until the first gap, detailed later.
Yep. Okay. So given that the shore has only been populated for centuries, I don't think millennia makes sense for us.
Right.
I think it could, personally, right? We could be detailing the early history of the planet, right? As millennia pass, we see the ways in which the planet changed, and we develop the history of the world up until the point where we begin playing.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, I think it works. I think
Okay.
we could do millennia.
All right. Sounds good then.
Okay.
Let's go ahead then. I believe.
I think Andy read the card, so I think Andy should
Yeah.
roll.
Yeah. I think you can just right click it and hit random side. A 5. Okay, so we're gonna play over the course of centuries, which it means that like when we're answering questions, the now can take place over still quite a long period of time. Okay, so I'm gonna write a note. Centuries. Okay. So, 2.4, establishing our place. We've started to do that a little bit, and we may revisit some questions we've already answered, but here we go. Brian, do you want to read this one?
Certainly. Each player is dealt cards from the face card stack in a circle until no cards are left. Then going in the same circle, each player sets down 1 card at a time and answers the question associated with that card detailed below. They may read the questions first, or pick between their cards at random. Keep going until the world feels established or each player is out of cards, whichever happens first. Try to keep this discussion under 25 minutes. Keep your answers to each question very short. You may wish to make brief notes to jog your memory later. Would you like me to read these card descriptions, or would we like to read them as the cards are played and dealt?
We'll read them as we go. So there are 5 of us, and I believe 12 cards. So if everyone wants to draw 2, and then a few of us can draw a third.
From the face card deck.
From the
the
face
top or
card
the
deck,
bottom?
which is the bottom one. Yep. Go ahead and just draw from this account. Oh, you can even tell it how many cards you want to draw. Nice. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Everybody is going to want to open up the establishing our place in case you accidentally close it like I did. So that you can read the descriptions on your cards, because you're going to get cards that are literally a face card and a suit.
Does my name say I have 1 or 2?
Your name
Your
says
name
0.
says you have nothing.
Oh, I definitely have a Jack of Hearts, but
That's
I
because
have
you
like
laid it on the table.
Yeah, I just gave you 2.
So wait, am I drawing one from each deck? Or
I have
two?
like one that's like frozen. It's like
Oh,
broken down. I don't even know what to tell you. Like it's like
yeah.
the back of the card is chilling on the on the bottom of the Roll20 screen, but I can't interact with it at all.
Oh, weird. Well, we can deduce what card that is by elimination.
Okay.
Okay. So, Greg, why don't you go ahead and draw another card then?
Okay.
Just so that you have extras. Oh, did you just like click and drag it onto the map?
Yeah, isn't that what you're supposed to do?
I think if you hover over the deck, you can just like click the word draw. And then
Okay. Well, now I've got 2 cards.
Okay. I don't know how many are left.
There should be 2 left.
Okay. Who would like to draw extra ones? I'm good passing on an extra one.
All right, I've distributed the cards.
Thank you.
I think I may or may not have an extra one. I honestly don't know what's going on
Okay,
with this thing.
we'll just go from here. Okay, so everyone look at your cards and then refer to that table. And you know, if you see a question that really jumps out at you as a great place to start, we'll just kind of go in a popcorn order.
Okay.
Oh, oopsie. I grabbed number cards by accident.
Oh, that's okay. I can recall those. Recall. I think I just took it.
Oh, and then I just got a big Roll20 error.
Oh,
Right.
Go ahead and refresh.
I don't know what my cards do.
Okay.
What is this? Spades? God, I haven't looked at a deck of cards in so long, guys. Are we supposed to just, declare a card and be like, hey, yo, question time?
Yeah.
If you have one that's ready, then go.
I don't. I'm just wondering. I would like to randomize it, guys. That's what I want to do. I love rolling dice.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Jack of Diamonds. What is this place called, named? Or what is this place named or called? Who named it and for what reason? Well, John named it Saber because he's a fucking fate weeb.
Don't open doors you don't want explored, Nick. That's all I gotta say.
Okay.
It's a fate name now. It's canon.
Yeah. Welcome to Fate. Our fatal table.
I think that when you are standing on, let's see, when you are standing on a particular hill near the settlement that was created by whoever terraformed this place, and you look up at Diana and Minerva, some of the energy kind of being like caught in between the two suns looks like a sword. Not from any of the other planets, and it's just from this particular spot.
You say energy. Is it something different than the light of the 2 suns, or what is it that's causing this?
It's just that, like,
Plasma between.
well, I don't know exactly what it's called when twin suns, like when they're orbiting one another. Sometimes they can like draw that like solar activity.
Plasma.
Just the plasma, like it can just kind of like be, it looks like essentially like perpetual solar flares.
Tether.
Yeah, tethered together. So that's essentially what it is it's just kind of like solar flare activity drawn between the two of them.
Okay.
And it looks like a blade.
Nice.
Okay, that's the Jack of Diamonds.
Cool.
Okay.
Sorry, what's our
Hi.
order here? Oh, never mind.
It's just popcorn style.
It's just say popcorn and go. If
Hi.
you're ready.
Place the King of Hearts in attack mode. What stories are told in or about this place? Does it have legends or myth? Does it have religion?
Hmm.
You know, Saber, the planet, from our colonists, the humans that are now settling this terrible rinky-dink edge of space known as the shore, indeed tell stories of Saber, that a conquering king will one day arrive and use this place like a mighty sword to cleanse space of all living things. It's an apocalyptic story in a apocrypha, if you will, Nick. Your favorite anime ever from the Fate series.
It's hilarious because John and I have talked about Fate Apocrypha.
There we go.
To ask generally to everyone, our time is in centuries. Do we want to start our first round of questions in the... Oh no, I guess that doesn't matter because we're doing the setup, right?
Yeah.
So this is
Yes.
something that's currently believed, but when we start the game, we won't necessarily be starting from this point.
Yes.
We're
Okay.
creating waypoints on the story
Right.
that we're stuck.
Okay, I understand. Then, are we? Is that a serious contribution, John, or
Yeah,
are
it
you
is.
just trolling Hella?
I am
Okay.
not trolling. No. But,
Okay.
well, yes, but also
He's
no.
always trolling Hello, but it's legit.
Okay.
I'm going to run with it.
Can you repeat that for me? I couldn't.
There will one day be, whether alien or human, a conquering entity that will come to extinguish life in our universe. And this will be its place where it will draw that cosmic sword.
Hence the saber.
Hence Saber. Yeah.
Means sabre.
Do you know where that who tells that story?
Probably madmen who get high on space crack or something. Or who knows? Maybe someone found like a cave painting.
The good moss. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Good.
Okay. Go ahead and just right click and remove that card.
I've already deleted it.
Perfect. Who's next?
Oh, go ahead. My bad.
I'm sorry. I was just trying to rephrase what John said, so it made sense. I was talking out loud because I have a bad habit. Please go for it.
Okay. Queen of Spades. What is the greatest tragedy in this place's past, and how is it remembered? The great tragedy of this mossy expanse is that before terraforming that grew this moss on everything, it was once house to an amazing alien civilization that crumbled due to a not entirely understood catastrophe. And the tragedy is that the moss that grew over everything completely masks the surface of the planet from that history, and over time has let it deteriorate under the soil creep, which means some of it could be found, but most of it will likely not until everything is cleared away. So how is it remembered? It's not, but the moss remembers.
Ooh. Okay.
Was the moss a byproduct of the terraforming that was done that covers this, or was this an indigenous thing?
Good question.
Was it a byproduct of what caused the alien civilization to crumble?
Good question. It's not remembered. The moss has covered up the history. It's
Okay.
The
truth
moss
lies.
knows.
The truth lies beneath the moss. You must look to find it.
There we go. That. How did we not do that pun at all last season at all? I'm feeling a deep sense of shame right now.
I don't know, but I'm liking how it's going now.
All right, fuck you.
Oh my god.
Okay. So the moss covers these ruins and they lay forgotten. Okay. I guess jumping on the back of that, am going to play the Jack of Hearts. And it asks the question, describe the flora and fauna. What is the landscape like? What animals and plants call it home? I think that the moss is very intricate to each biome of this neatly terraformed planet and is the major flora of the planet. While there are foresting regions with trees, they are covered with lichen that grows along their trunks and acts as like a foliage in itself. In watery regions, there is a moss that grows like algae in the water that is of the same kind of species of moss, though maybe different in character across these terraformed regions. So no matter where you go, whether it be cold or hot, wet or dry, there's an adaptation of this moss that covers the other flora of the region. Beyond that, the flora and fauna are diverse from region to region, each almost seemingly well and perfectly adapted to where they come from. In deserty regions, you find beetles and camels and things that are used to the dryness and feed off of the moss that grows here. In the wetlands, you'll see amphibious creatures and things that thrive in the wetlands, but everywhere there is this moss.
Very nice.
Hit us up, Shadow.
All right. I think I'm going to go with the king. So it's right on Greg's cards. The king of clubs. And the king of clubs says, if there are inhabitants, what are the visions for the future that they hold? Is it a long view or a short one? When I originally started thinking about this, I was thinking about, we're still talking about like way back before this was terraformed, right? That's where the point of time that we're in.
Go ahead.
That was my question earlier, and we are setting the scene of our world, and we are going to, in future rounds, discuss things like centuries at a time. So we're not in a specific point yet. We're, as I think it was Andy who said, we're creating waypoints that we could visit while we're in the rest of the game.
All right, sounds good. Then this waypoint is that the question again, what are the visions for the future that the inhabitants hold? I think the alien civilization that crumbled here envisioned that whatever calamity wrecked this planet could be fixed. That they could terraform it, change it, leave, and then come back later. And I think that the moss that inhabits every biome, that is adapted to every region and is unique in every area, was created by these aliens to fix whatever problem the planet had, whether it was maybe too many greenhouse gases escaped and suddenly the temperature was spiking to the point where it was unlivable, or there was a mass disease on the planet that was wiping out everyone, or it was a case where the food supply was dwindling and the planet was going to dry out. This moss was created by them to reform the planet into a habitable living area. Then they packed themselves up on a ship. They left, planning to come back a millennia later to reset.
Nice.
Cool.
I thought you were gonna say that they tried to use the moss to avert catastrophe, and then it became the catastrophe, a la Snowpiercer. But I like the idea that they like set it like like starting laundry before you leave the house. It's just like it'll be done when we come back. Bye.
See you later.
I am not able to draw any more face cards, just so you know. I
Yeah,
don't know why
yeah,
Roll20 doesn't like me.
Everyone has, or we've drawn the whole deck.
Did you only get one, Andy?
Yes, I did.
Oh,
This is
shit.
not a big deal. We can use process of elimination. I can just guess, but
I gave you 2.
no.
Well,
Sometimes
John has an
the
extra.
cards are finicky. John, do you want to pick one of yours? Do you feel like one of them's a good one for right now?
Yeah, I could do that. I sure have a lot of kings, I say, looking at my other king of diamonds. I draw him in attack mode. Who or what is in power here? Is it a ruler, an apex predator, a series of laws that govern society? Now, I'm not gonna lie, guys. From what you guys have initially described, this moss seems a little bit more, maybe not intelligent, but almost like an amoeba level or colony-esque. Well, I guess I'll just keep saying the word intelligent, though I don't like repeating words. This moss, maybe just on a macro colony level, like a weird superorganism, is clearly the prime specimen of this planet. Yes, creatures eat it, but it's too big. It can't be stopped by just one individual, let alone a planetary macrophage that will destroy it. I think there's something up with this moss, and it is truly the ones in charge. Just not on like any political level. Purely.
So the moss is sentient in some way?
It is so sentient that if you like poked it or prodded it, it'd just be regular moss, right? But on like the deepest level, this thing is like, oh, what's that fungal colony that's like the biggest one that stretches like 1 million square miles?
You're talking about like Pando, like it's like one aspen tree that's like covers a huge amount of space or something.
I think the moss is all just interconnected in some small, minuscule way that no matter who lands on this planet, they'll be like, oh, that's a cool environmental thing. I don't need to worry about this. And secretly, it's just like shifting the planet around and doing its thing on like a planetary scale. I think this will be our main character moving forward, guys. What about you?
Maybe.
Oh, you're so kind by saying maybe.
Face.
So
How quickly do we tell a story from the point of view of a moss that encompasses an entire
chilling.
planet before we are telling a story about a god?
Is the moss what's in power because the moss is
die.
the
It's
moss is
immortal.
Okay.
It
I was
is
gonna
a
say,
god, Andy.
what's its agency aside from just survival forever?
Right.
Isn't that a question? I will ask back to you, Andy.
What is agency but survival?
I would like to hear
then
what Greg
I
was
think
saying.
what I will add then is, rather than a sentient moss that has a will of its own and is like distributing it throughout the planet, the moss is in charge because it was created to make the planet better after whatever disaster befell. And so it doesn't have a will, but there is so much of it, and it is actively doing something to the planet, that the laws handed down from that ancient civilization are like enacted through this moss. rather than the creator of those laws. It is just the product of what is in charge.
We were talking about artificial intelligence. It's essentially a giant organic
It's a
robot.
Moss supercomputer. Yeah, for sure. You know, if you get enough crabs to pull on knobs of ones and zeros, right?
Jesus.
That's what this Moss has become.
It's tradition.
Okay.
I think it might be even maintaining the planet. That might be a better way of looking at its agency. The Moss itself is in power because it is the means by which this planet maintains its hospitable terrain and livability.
Fair.
So okay. I don't know why I keep having it in my mind that these aliens like arrived here, like they were not native to this planet. Did they like bring the Moss? I you know, I'm just pitching this. It doesn't have to be set in stone, but like what if they arrived and brought this Moss with them, and it is what like the Moss terraformed the planet for them to inhabit.
Are the creators of the Moss and the terraforming the same as the civilization that fell before? Could they be different?
Who knows? But I know that we do have like 7 more cards to get.
Yeah. Okay.
We have 25 minutes.
Well, I think that these are questions worth exploring, right?
Right.
Like this is
Agreed.
I'm
think
just trying to.
That's
Okay.
possibly a waypoint that we haven't hit yet. I mean, we've said that the Moss was there to fix it. We've said that aliens were established here, but we don't know if those are the same ones.
So I am not actually certain that we're supposed to be describing different points in time. I think we are supposed to be establishing our place at the beginning.
I just said the Moss is in power here.
Okay. I know. I'm trying to like wrap my head around all these ideas.
we're trying to establish how and why the Moss is in power, right?
Yeah.
And I think the way you initially described it was as like some sentient super Moss that was controlling people, and I was trying to maybe amend that to a little bit more
like a plant computer. It's a computer that's so big on a planetary level, just taking care of a planet.
Okay. So my question is even beyond just John's question and addressing all of them. My understanding is that we're supposed to be building a starting point. So, and I just want to make sure we're all on the same page before we move forward. So has all of this been points about the planet as it is with this civilization at the beginning of our game? That there is solar activity between the suns, that the aliens here have a belief that there is a conquering entity that will draw a cosmic sword from this place, that this is a home to aliens that their civilization will eventually disappear or crumble, and moss and soil covers their history.
If you want that to be the beginning point, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
But I think the idea is that we are establishing a place regardless of time. And when we start the game, we will zoom in on a specific time and answer what is happening and true in that time.
Okay.
So there might be a belief on this planet that a conquering sovereign will come from the cosmos and draw out a sword. But when we zoom into a specific, like if we start, our starting point may not have that belief yet.
Okay.
Right? That might be coming in the future.
All right.
Does that vibe with everybody?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I will happily draw the next card if
Go
we're
for
ready
it.
to continue.
Yeah.
All right. My last card is the Queen of Diamonds. And this says, what is valued in this place? What is known to have is it known to have in excess? I think what's valued here is food. This moss is edible. It grows. It grows upon itself, and John's losing it.
All about the moss. Throwaway joke. I love it.
I think food and medicine. This moss was created to fix problems with the planet, and people are able to take it and use it and study it and then possibly create medicine out of it to fix other things. And what is in excess here on this planet? Arable land. This planet has 70% land, 30% water. There is land in abundance here for people to settle, to farm, and to establish colonies and settlements on.
So I have a clarifying question. If the moss itself is providing tons of food and readily available medicines, what is it that makes those things valuable here?
Possibly that, maybe not for food, but possibly for the medicines. Maybe it's not found in excess in any other place in the known sector.
Right, but why is it here where we're playing? Why is it valuable here?
A commodity?
Right. Your card asks what is valuable here, and you say it's food and medicine. Right.
As in, why is it valuable here as opposed to in the sector?
Well, we're not thinking about the sector. The sector exists, but we're playing in this place. So what is it that makes that valuable in this place?
Because they can sell it. It gives them capital.
Okay.
So
it's valuable as a commodity.
An export,
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, that is where I was leading with it, but that clarifies it a bit better.
That's excellent. I can go next. So I have the King of Spades. If there are multiple people who live here, what are they divided on? What are the points of contention that are fought over? Or if there are not multiple people, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to do the second half, but it's like what resources, plants, animals, visitors, what do they vie for? I think that in like the present, when there are humans here that call it the shore, they are divided. There are some people, the eco-friendly folks who are like, yo, yes, this is a renewable resource. The moss will regrow itself, but it eventually hits a point where they are really nervous that it is not going to, that more is going to be consumed than can renew. Like the rate of reproduction is negative. And so there are people constantly arguing about their cut of moss, like their territory, and how much that they can export or harvest. And there's just lots of politics around that.
Who has final say on the cut of moss you may have?
The government.
I kind of want to paint a picture where the government is stretched so fucking thin that, like, yeah, they should step in, but they don't because they don't have the time or the resources. So it's really up to like companies, corporations to like negotiate it and like come to some sort of agreement.
Sure.
Okay. So
and a lot of these different colonies and planets where government is not present but business is, that these businesses have their own Pinkertons and aldermen and other kind of like local government / enforcer figures that effectively become government because there's no bigger body to sort of step in. So you have sheriffs and standards of living vary wildly between each place because their leadership is so not inconsistent. Not consistent.
Yeah.
not inconsistent.
Okay. It looks like John has a card, and then we can figure out which ones we haven't done. And also, if we feel like we've answered enough of these questions, we can move on.
All
Ooh,
right.
John.
Greg has 3 sitting in his hand. I don't know if we want to go through any of those real quick. Or
I have Queen of
like-
Hearts, but I think King of Diamonds and the other king were played.
They were
You see
played
your
out of our
nameplate?
hands.
Oh yeah,
There is no cards above my nameplate.
King of
I
Spades is
see
mine.
3 above yours.
There are no cards above my nameplate.
I don't see him either.
There's just one
I
above
see-
yours, John.
I've seen one above yours. That's all that I registered.
Okay, I'm gonna refresh my Roll20 then.
Okay.
Okay, now I understand that I'm insane and also entering sicko mode. I guess.
The Queen of Hearts says who or what a person, landmark, society has been in this place the longest. How did they come to be here?
No, that was a graphical error on my end. I'm sorry.
I think that we know what has been here the longest. It's the ruins of the alien society from long, long ago that may or may not have terraformed this place with moss. And I'm going to claim that these ruins are native. They came to be here because this is where the civilization was from.
Okay.
Oof. Did anyone hear just like a foghorn coming through their
Yeah,
heads?
I was trying to
I
find
did.
some good music to play, and that one was
Okay.
way too loud. Okay.
My master volume was just maxed out.
Yeah, sorry. Okay.
I was
All
like,
right.
oh.
Unless there's any questions that people feel like we should, that we
Oh,
haven't
yeah.
answered and should, we can move on.
I've been banking this one though, Nick.
Oh, go
I've been
for it.
saving this for last.
Yeah.
Guys, this is the Jack of Spade. What are the threats to this place? Are these threats to the material of the place, materiality of the place, or the
Mhm.
people that live in it? What a good card. I've been contemplating it for quite some time now, and I can't decide because there's 2 paths we can go down here of environmental, where the people are coming in here to destroy this beautiful moss, or is the moss now fighting back against the people, consuming them as they are being consumed? What about
Moss is
what
eating
about
the
what do you
people
guys
as the
think?
people are eating the moss? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, I'm sure
I
dead
can't
bodies
tell
are
if this is like an
consumed, yeah.
Ouroboros situation.
I mean, I think that's probably something that happens. Like bodies are buried under the moss consumes it and replenishes the food source. Why?
But what makes that a threat? That just sounds like coefficient living.
I mean, anything that has a cycle can also be put off kilter and damage one side can damage the other, right?
What if it?
Fair.
What if it's like some unpredictable event that triggers the moss to act differently?
Oh, I like that. Like in Pitch Black, where 2 suns are rotating around a planet. When they go and eclipse each other, something terrible happens. Every X amount of years or whatever.
Ooh, so the binary stars in this system, if they reach a certain alignment, the moss goes crazy.
Oh my gosh. When the planet rotates to a specific point around the 2 suns, the saber of energy points directly at the planet. And the calamity is that the moss eats the people.
We've made a horror story.
We have.
We're living in it.
No. Greg, you're the
I don't know. I just don't want it to
your
be
thoughts.
something dumb like LOL, the people are destroying the moss and now, what
I
may
don't
or
want it
may
to be
not
something dumb, so I want a contiguous blob of sentient moss that eats
Oh,
people.
John, can I give you a better reason that this crazy thing happens? So we said that it was designed to equalize the planet, right? But Nick said that our new colony, might be consuming it at a speed that would start to give it a negative regeneration rate. So every convergence or eclipse or whatever, the moss resets its programming and resets the balance on the planet and consumes an appropriate number of human beings or whatever to equalize the rate of production.
We can also just leave that a blank, like we don't have to like specifically determine what happens.
This is a moth lore podcast now.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, that's fine. Or you can pass.
Okay.
Give it.
All right, we're gonna take our break, and then when we come back, we will jump into the main gameplay.
We'll stop talking about moths, we promise.
Eventually, maybe after our world building. All right, we'll be right back. Hello.
Greg, you're muted.
We're back. All right.
I see.
So we're going to move forward with the ground itself. We're going to move out of establishing our place into the main gameplay. I'll go ahead and read this one. So we're going to play 4 cycles of gameplay. Players will draw cards from the numerical pile. I've hid the face card, so now we should only have the one. Each type of card is associated with a set of questions, which are answered in order. For example, the first time the player draws an ace of any suit, they would answer the first question listed under the aces, which I have as a separate handout, y'all. That's, I think, the last one, Card Meanings 3.2. I'll just pop that up over here. So the first time any ace is drawn, you'd ask, what are the plants like in our place, the rocks, the soil? We could probably focus on the latter 2 questions in that example. And then the second time an ace is drawn, you move on to the second question and so forth. Read the question out loud, narrate your answer to the group, and then discard the card in the discard pile. The group may ask follow-up or clarifying questions, but may not contradict what you have expressly said. The player may also discard the card before addressing the question and enter what is called a focused situation, choosing to tell a story, throw a party, discover something, see an omen, leave the frame, or move on, skipping this turn if you just don't feel like the card is appropriate. We have a separate handout on focused situations that gives a brief description about these options, so feel free to take a look at that. These focus situations allow us to skip certain questions, instead spending more time on a single moment. Choosing to enter a focus situation still counts as the nth instance of the card. You may enter the same focus situation multiple times, and they are detailed in that handout I mentioned. If the card that is drawn is a 10, the cycle ends, moving us forward in time. Which we'll get to those rules when we draw our first 10. In terms of interpreting cards, feel free to take a poetic interpretation. Some cards will mention things like the street, the church, or crowds. They may not be applicable in the world that we have created, but that says tut, but it should say, but they likely have an emotional equivalent. A town square may be like a kitchen table, and a parade may be on television. Please take liberties with any cards. Okay. So we have our card meanings list here. I'll pull that up. Oops, I meant to pull that up and make it bigger so the viewers can see some of these descriptions. We can just go in, we'll just go in the order on our stream, and move through that from left to right. Who would like to go first, though?
I nominate John. as he
Hell
has
yeah.
been our tone setter thus far.
I love setting tones. I draw the 6 of hearts.
Oops, I grabbed the
Hard
wrong.
meaning 6.
Okay, let me grab card meanings
What's the
here.
most horrible
What is the
thing?
most horrible thing?
Stop laughing, Andy.
Hang on, I think I need to
You
refresh.
know what I'm gonna say if you laugh.
Show to players. There we go. Okay, sorry. Just trying to get this up on the screen for the viewers. Okay, wow, what was it? A 6?
Yes.
Yes. What is the most horrible thing in or about our place? You just said that.
I think there is one biome which is far too close to the ancient envisioning of what hell looks like. Somewhere on this planet, and people know about it.
Coffee Travelers confirming that we're back.
Okay.
All right, we'll keep moving.
Oh yeah,
visuals
there
are still
is.
frozen on mine. Okay.
You should refresh.
I'm doing it.
There is a section within this world, a cube or anti-cube, that is essentially just hell. So spikes or stalagmites, I believe, shoot up plateaus of just this sulfurous volcanic rock and obsidian glass. And no one knows why that is there on the planet, because it doesn't seem very beneficial. But still, the moss has adapted and overcome and is still somewhere in there in some minor or insignificant way.
Hmm.
So the prompt says, what is the most horrible thing in this location this planet is our place? While volcanic landscape is definitely trying if you're going to live in it, what specifically about this volcanic hell terrain makes it the most horrible place on the planet? Is it just it's pure inhospitality? I don't know. Or like, what is it that makes this the most horrible place?
Like, does volcanic ash randomly spew out and end up going into other places? And
No, I think we described our planet here as all the biomes are self-contained. I think people just sort of get attracted to it, kind of. And they're like, hey, let's go look at the hell pit, everybody. And some people are like, yeah, I should go in that hell pit, guys. And although it's not like a psychic or malicious thing, a lot of people just end up there for some reason.
Okay.
And hang around it, and sort of maybe some weird sort of volcanic worship is beginning around it. But I don't want to go too deep into
so
it.
it's horrible because it's the place on the planet that's like inhospitable, and it's attractive to people in some way.
And it sounds like it's not understood.
And it's not understood.
And that's
It's
scary.
the thing that is out.
Okay.
If your entire existence is green shit covering everything, the one place that's like rocky and colorful is going to create a lot of controversy.
Yeah. So
All right.
I should have done this before we started drawing cards. In terms of this cycle, is this group of centuries taking place while the aliens are alive and living on this planet? Is that our understanding moving into this first cycle?
Probably not. It's probably
It
like
sounds to me like John has started us in a time after the alien civilization, and the terraforming has at least begun. So there's this terrible fiery pit.
Okay.
So I think our starting point is in sometime after the release of the moss, after a calamity has struck or is going to strike, and the aliens have left this civilization behind. And we'll start there and then proceed via dice rolls
Okay.
after this turn.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if the aliens have left, who is living here? Like, who is being drawn?
The first humans who were at this very, very early days settlement.
No, the
Oh.
robot, the terraforming robot, guys. We got to start with where it truly begins. He shows up to drop the rock off, and what does he see?
How long ago in your fiction, Nick, did the terraforming ships arrive in sector
So
from where we want to start our play?
yeah, counting back from the present, it was centuries.
It was centuries plural, so
Yes.
like many centuries. So okay, then it is within reason that we could start there if we moved a century or two at a time. I would argue that maybe in this moment in time, what is attracted there might be the not the people, like the indigenous people, but like the indigenous fauna.
Okay.
And so we are in some undetermined point before the arrival of those machines.
Yes.
For this first round.
Sounds
Does that
Like that.
make sense?
Yeah.
Or do people vibe with that? I guess vibe check.
I'm good. I'm good.
Vibing.
I'm good.
All right.
Thank
Double
you
finger
for
gun for me.
thank you for taking the lead on getting us sorted, Greg.
No worries.
Okay. All right. So unless John has anything to add, it is your turn to draw a card, Greg.
Absolutely. Will do.
I'm gonna keep track of what we've drawn.
I have drawn the 2. So our first 2 questions says, name a monument, market, statue, or other physicalized memory that exists in our place, and what does it mark? I think that the thing that we will mark is the large hill that Nick described when he was talking about seeing the sword from the light of the suns. This is one of the like first terraformed places we see it in this time. It has been terraformed by this moss, and it is hilly, and this particular hill just is larger than the rest, and it stands up and is noticeable, and from its top you can see as these planets orbit each other the clear view of the saber-like phenomenon that gives this planet its name. And it has stood since this time, or it has been created in this time that we're looking at now as kind of the monument.
All right.
Blade View Hill.
Blade View. Okay, my turn to draw a card. I have the 8 of diamonds. What does success look like in our place? What do the inhabitants want? I think since the aliens have left and humans have not yet arrived, it's just the flora and fauna at this point. So success is the moss continuing to maintain the planet, and the all of the fauna just kind of like thriving in equilibrium. And I think that during this cycle, the moss is doing a fantastic job of that. So success is the norm, and inhabitants really just are not for want at this point in time.
Can I like add into our fiction here, kind of rolling back to what John was describing, and like add to it what you are, potentially?
Sure.
What if the volcanic area that is the most horrid is a byproduct of the calamity that the aliens fled from, and is horrible, and it attracts the moss and the fauna because that is what needs terraforming. Like whatever this calamity is, it causes the land to be caustic and molten and fiery and inhospitable. And so what we see when we see the volcanic land, it's the most horrible because it's the actual death of the planet. And success is the moss overcoming and reverting this place on the planet.
That makes sense to me as well. Success is overcoming that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. John,
Okay.
is that in line with your contribution? Like, I don't want to.
For sure, man.
All
Okay.
right. Okay. Yeah, and I think during this cycle that there is a very slow, very slow but steady like amount of overcoming the volcanic area and actually like successfully terraforming the space. But it is not all of it by any stretch of the imagination.
Almost like it might take multiple centuries.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens. Go ahead, Brian, with your next card.
I've drawn a 3.
3.
Question 1 under 3. What do people listen to and perform here? What is considered folk art? Well, you know what? We don't have any people. So I think it is time at this point to go into the focus situations and do something.
Yeah, let's take a look at those. So tell a story. You adopt or invent a storytelling character in the game and describe them, etc., etc. You can throw a party. You describe a situation and invent someone that is attending. You can discover something. This is a chance to name a fact that enters the world whole cloth. See an omen. Here the player may gesture at a future possibility. It may be a classic type, a comet, or a spell gone awry, or something that points at the materiality of the world, a hungry animal in from a famine in the countryside, or an heir to the throne that sickens ahead of a coup. This is a chance to set things in motion. You narrate what is seen, by who, and how it is perceived. Or leave the frame. This is an exception to a rule that they've drilled into us. Just for a second, the window widens, and we are able to see a little bit more of our world. You may ask, what is the mountain like to the north of our house? Are there missing armies on the sea? Are there massing armies on the sea? What type of dogs do the neighbors have? Or anything else that you wish to know. You get one question and the table collectively answers, then the world snaps back. Or you can simply move on.
I think I have it. I think we're going to see an omen, and we're going to cut to a scene of some of whatever animal life is here on our planet, looking up to the sky and seeing something streaking across the sky at high speeds. And it is some type of probe from the incoming terraforming ship that passes through the top of the atmosphere and just keeps going. As at some point, this ship will arrive in the area, and then our colonization as a people will eventually start, or the terraforming robot will come here and like change a little color of the moss and claim it as its own.
Perfect. Thank you. Great job. All right, Andy, your turn to draw a card.
Draw.
I think here you can just click and drag the top card onto the player mat. That might be simpler at this point since we're not just drawing multiple cards. Just for everyone's awareness.
Yeah. So Ace's first question is, what are the plants like? Wait, are there 2 aces of clubs on my Roll20? Oh. Wait, maybe it's just,
I'm not sure.
are there 2 on yours?
I only see the one.
Okay, just kidding.
I see 2 as well.
Oh, whoops.
That's okay. That means I get to answer this redundant question twice redundant. What are plants like in our place? The rocks, the soil. So I'm just going to be really quick about this and say that even though to the outside the plants look like they're just doing their thing, I think they do have a language between each other, expressions of colorful flower petals and little flower stamens is their form of poetry to each other across valleys and across hillsides. moss communicates to other clumps with colorful displays, and for no animal of any kind to see, there might be exchanges of beautiful florid poetry told only on the surface of these plants.
Lovely.
That's it. That's it.
All right. John, you're next.
Okay. Boom. Number 5.
A 5.
Card meanings for. Have we had a 5 yet? What are the stars like in our place? The sky, the weather. I think the weather's pretty. It's pretty okay, except for the hell pit. Sky, Karen blue. Beautiful, beautiful sky for the most part. Weather patterns holding and whatnot. What are the stars like in our place? Well, there's 2 big ones right outside the window, as it were. Totally not named Emia and Archer, but something else. Diana and Minerva. All right. I'm done.
So I'm just going to add, this entire sector space sits in a large blue nebula. So the skies, assuming that you're on a planet where the sky is, got that nitrogen, that oxygen that's really mostly nitrogen. Everything is just super vividly blue. At night, during the day, like you can see blue nebula.
Abadi Abadai.
Yep.
That's the song we should have sung earlier when we were waiting for Nate to get ready.
Greg, hit us up.
I'm blue, dabba dee dabba die, dabba dee dabba die, dabba dee dabba die.
That's a Pledge of Allegiance.
Does Postmodern Jukebox have a... Never mind.
Focus up, Nick.
Okay.
This is the story of, I don't know.
Also, it's your turn to draw a card, Greg.
Oh, is that what you meant?
Yes.
Yes.
The song was so much better, though.
He's like, that's my turn to sing.
Let me draw a card.
My turn
I've
to
drawn a
karaoke.
3.
A 3. This is our second 3.
So this is our second 3. So what do people in our place argue about for fun, whether in the bar, in the square, or other social spaces? Well, I think the flowers and flora in this place, using their petals and pistils as a form of self-expression, argue over the coming of this strange moss. This isn't what they're used to. And the flora is discussing the moss with each other. And some believe it's just moss, bro. And some are like, yo, I think it's changing things. And they're like, it's cool, we vibing. We'll outlive the moss. You know what its life cycle is? And the other one's like, I bloom once a season. And it's an ongoing debate.
So natural selection and what's it called? Evolution.
And flower conspiracy.
That's what they argue about for fun. Like that's their sport teams that they have rivalries.
I think it's about fun. It's just what is on. It's the topic of conversation during this turbulent time. I think for fun, they're like, "Hey, you see that hot bee over there, man?"
Oh my god. Okay, it's my turn. I'm going. I drew our second 5. What secrets are kept in our place? Why are they kept? By who and from whom? So I think that the moss has the civilization left in the last centuries. If we went backwards one cycle, the alien civilization might still be here. I think the moss is beginning to overtake their structures and anything they've left behind, as is just the normal fauna, flora of this place. So just natural decay and overtaking the spaces.
I think you have a unique chance here to name the secrets of this civilization. and in the like next turning of the dice, I think those might be lost to us. So in this moment, is there it doesn't have to be all of the secrets of Lost Civilization, but is there a particular secret that's being kept? Is there something that you would like to add to the world in terms of these secrets?
Yeah, I think that there is some sort of equivalent to like a library that the civilization left behind, lots of their knowledge and history and culture. But and they developed this moss, right? Is that what we agreed? Like this is something that they designed. I think all the knowledge about like how the moss works is in this building, and it is slowly being overtaken by the plants, the moss, and the elements. Okay, Brian, whenever you're ready.
On it. Ace, our second ace. It's time to plant the seedlings. What are the seedlings and where are they planted? What is the harvest that is hoped for? Another plant card.
I think this could be the one thing that the terraforming drone does.
I don't think we're at the point in time where there's a
yeah,
terraforming drone yet.
That's the next cycle.
Sorry, never mind.
I like your thought, but I think that's the next cycle. What is the harvest that is hoped for?
Oh, hold on. In your omen, you saw a probe passing by. I hate to jump over what your card is, but perhaps the seeds that are being planted is some kind of tracker or location that has marked the planet. The seed is the coming is this tracker, and the hope for harvest is that the following ships will arrive and make the planet hospitable for its cargo.
Maybe a probe lands out towards the top of the large hill, embeds itself on the side, and then within maybe 2 months, it is completely covered in moss, still transmitting, but has now become part of the landscape of the planet.
I like that.
That probe and whatever like satellite is still up in the air, like, ooh, something's alive down there. Nice. Excellent. Andy, your draw. We haven't drawn a 10 yet, and we've had 9 draws.
There's one.
There it is.
There.
Hey,
That's the average, 10 cards, we drew a 10. Sorry, that was not very articulate. There are 10 numbers we're drawing from, 4 of each. Okay, so let's go over what happens after each cycle. Would anyone else like to read this? 2.6.
I drew it, so I'm happy to do so.
Go for it.
When a player draws a 10 of any suit, time advances. Player rolls the 6-sided die, and this number plus the unit of time decided at the beginning of the game is the length of our gap. For example, if the die lands on a 3 and the unit decided was days, 3 days pass. The die reveals 5 and the unit was centuries, you have a gap of 500 years. You may choose to go forward or backward in time. This may be a narratively useful place to take a break after rolling the die, talk about something else, grab a snack from the kitchen, walk outside, or feed the cat. This is probably a tiny gap compared to the one described in our story, but consider allowing some moment to pass, and for the actions of the last cycle to fade just slightly into history. When the table reconvenes, you will collectively answer the following questions, optionally taking short notes. The players may each answer one question in a circle, or all chime in on each one. Remember, try not to contradict other players' assertions, but rather work your own ideas into the fabric of what they have said. So yes and each other. Those questions are: do our characters' civilizations still live here? What does the place physically look like now? And does the place still use the same name? After answering these questions, resume the normal pattern of gameplay. So I will go ahead and roll.
Wow, no one else is
Random
rolling
s-
today. Just Andy.
Just Andy.
No opportunities
it's
for
the-
XP. Damn.
What the player who's just the someone else rolled a 6.
Roll the
Damn.
Roll it,
dice, Andy.
That's a 6.
Nice.
Oh,
600
6 centuries
years.
pass. Oh my god.
Do they
Um,
pass forwards or backwards?
Ooh.
let's go backwards.
Ooh,
Shit.
shit.
Okay.
600 years into the past. Do our characters' civilization still live here?
No.
The moth
Yeah, I
has
think
not
that-
even been conceived of yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Second cycle. 600 years in past.
We're finally getting answers to our vague posting we've been doing.
Yes. I offered the term Antiviridian to describe this civilization being before the Green Times, to just as a way to name this people, so we don't have another name for it yet. So at 600 years before the collapse and their exiting of the planet, or at least maybe a couple hundred years before that, I would say that is the time for a civilization that's about to collapse to be at its peak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I assume we are seeing the Antiviridian people or aliens in their sort of like highest forms.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. I think that's a great moment to zoom in on.
Is it my turn now?
We have 2 more questions to answer.
Oh, fuck. I'm sorry.
John, read the second question.
I don't know where I'm supposed to find
What
this
does the place physically look like now? Has anything visually changed? How does it smell now? How does
Where
it
are
feel
you finding these?
This is
2.6 after every cycle, parentheses, 10
Ow.
draw.
Okay.
I added the parentheses to this.
Parenthetical.
I think it
Thank you, Nick.
it's definitely going to look different, but it even more so smells different. It's far less peaty and earthy.
Sulfurous. I
Mhm.
believe
Oh, yeah, that
we
too.
had lots of magma in the previous cycle.
Yeah.
So I guess if the magma hellscape was like the evil thing that the moss is designed to control, I assume that's like maybe somehow a source of income or industry or power for this civilization, that they've encouraged it too far that it becomes unmanageable.
More of it.
So full on like Star Wars lava planet, like lava spewing up all over the place on this planet's surface.
That could be cool. I have a potential alternative, I guess. Not like in the result of the collapse is this magma filled fiery kind of apocalypse. We've seen a planet in the fiction that looks something like that, and they have these like crystals on them. Maybe centuries before we discovered them, the aliens knew how to cultivate and make these somewhere deep in the earth or in the planet's tectonic plates or whatever. And it was from this source of immense power they have this amazing civilization, and then we're seeing at its height, but the fall from grace is that they went too far, like you said, and the result is this shifting in the tectonic plates that results in magma rising and the like kind of hellscape that we saw the moss trying to prevent.
Just to clarify, are you talking about the soul crystals?
Yes, or like a substance very similar to them. They could be the exact same thing, or they could be slightly different. But yeah, they would be something like that. That is the thing that they were mining, or had caused the greatness of them and precipitated their downfall.
What do we think?
I'm down with that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I liked it better than a lava hellscape because if it was a lava hellscape, would they really have tried to use moss to terraform it into something arable and livable and green? I feel like the planet at some point should have been green, and the hellscape is what resulted from their machinations.
Yeah. I think there would be a lot more water too,
Ooh.
because
Yeah.
lava cools
Fits.
down and is part of like the terra. Maybe these guys are like excavating or like fucking with the crust of their planet to get these crystals. But at the moment, it's currently just, like.
Maybe they're fucking with their crust underwater.
True.
Ooh. So they're at their peak. Their technology is just fucking booming, and it's all being powered with soul crystals, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Underwater.
Yes, and yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
Then does this place still use the same name? We didn't name it before.
I mean, in the future it's called Saber.
Oh yeah.
I would imagine it doesn't, right? Do we think that the civilization that came before gave it the same name?
Probably not.
No.
I think doubtful.
Maybe they see the same phenomenon, but to them it looks like something else entirely because it's just a shape in the sky. And so coincidentally, they also named the planet after that phenomenon, but it is nothing close to Saber. It's like, stalk, like a plant stalk, or
Oh, I like
Ooh.
that. Yeah.
Beanstalk is the name of the planet.
Beanstalk. I like it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, Johnny Appleseed. Let's move on.
Let's move on. I draw a 2. Is this our second 2 or first 2?
This is our second 2.
All right. What is produced in our place right now? Well, guys, how does it make its way into the wider world? Is this an export, a physical good, knowledge, or something else? Well, obviously, they are producing their first attempts at going into the larger nebulae. Our soon-to-be spacefaring race is tapping into these soul crystals they're messing around with. But it is more of an exploratory manner than an emergency one. All right.
Are they also developing moss?
No. Moss grows naturally at this point in time.
Okay. All right. Greg, it is your draw whenever you're ready.
Sorry, frantically writing
Yeah,
notes.
yeah, you're good.
All
There
right.
will not- there will not- Go ahead. Sorry.
I have drawn the first 2 of this cycle. Name a monument, marker, statue,
No,
or
no.
other physical.
Hang on. We've already answered the first 2 of these.
This is the third.
But this is the new cycle, right? So
I don't think
started-
I don't think it does. It reset every cycle?
No, it's there. There's 4 of every color in a deck of cards. So it's the fourth, or this is the third 2 from the deck. So
Yeah.
you would answer the third question.
Yes, that's my understanding.
Okay.
Otherwise, we would likely never get to 4th questions for like anything.
That's a good point.
Okay. A major modification is made to the environment of our place. What does this change? Was it made by someone, or did it
Jesus.
simply come to pass?
Well, we got to remember, is the calamity happening now, or does it happen a few centuries from now?
I think we're at the height of our alien society, and I don't think the calamity is happening yet. I think the major modification to the environment of our place is the large kind of mines and factories that are created in the crust of the planet. Our civilization has found that in the vast oceans that fill this green and verdant planet, access through trenches in the ocean floor to something deep in the Earth's crust, and at the height of their scientific technology have found a way to mine and manufacture a crystal from the materials in the crust of the planet. that amplifies a power that goes through it. And so they have been building large scale during this century mines and industry at the ocean floor, drilling deep into the crust itself to continue harvesting and manufacturing this crystal. And the offshoot of which is a ocean world that is filling with the byproduct of that mining, both like maybe leakage from the trenches, sulfurous, magmas, whatever other materials may be in there, as well as the byproduct of manufacturing these crystals.
Wow, corporate hellscape centuries before humans populated it. Nice.
The endless cycle of capitalism.
I would say history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes often.
Me, I'd love to describe how wonderful the shore is. Another hellscape. Okay, I drew the 2 of diamonds. No, I did not. I drew an ace, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yes, you drew that.
Oh, there it is. Okay, sorry. I have a huge window popped up. So ace of diamonds. This is our 3rd ace. Wow, we've drawn a lot of aces. The harvest day has arrived. What is being harvested? For what purpose? And how is it being stored? Well, if space flight isn't major and isn't super necessary quite yet, and the moss hasn't arrived, I think what harvest day is hitting like a major ore deposit with a ton of materials that they will need to make spacecraft. It is being mined, it is being refined, it is being combined into materials, refined materials that they need to make spacecraft. So I think there is just a huge surge in aerospace engineering and development and exploration as they begin to craft a ton more vessels to go and explore the rest of their sector and further into space.
Bias.
Nice.
Nice.
My turn?
Is that what you said?
Yeah. For a shout out.
Oh, thank you.
Yep.
Go for it, Brian.
3. What 3 are we
Our
on?
third
This is
3. Wow, we've drawn a lot of the ace 2s and 3s.
A new style, fad, or devotion sweeps our place. What is it? Who cares about it? Style.
I think this is an opportunity to like for our like looking ahead to our game, like what kinds of artifacts or knowledge or culture might we find in this, like buried under all the moss and earth?
Oh yeah.
Or like what like spirituality or weird beliefs did these people have?
Maybe a new religion develops that has a occult devotion to the 2 suns, to Diana and to Minerva. And maybe the dichotomy that they represent. Maybe Diana is the as we can see, it's slightly lighter colored. Maybe Diana becomes the image of daytime and light and everything that is good, and Minerva becomes everything that is dark and hidden in shadow. And maybe it is a religion that celebrates the yin and the yang of everything. Yes, we have new byproduct. Yes, we have new energy and spacecraft, but man, what does that do to the planet that we're living on? Or maybe this celebration of capitalist society making everybody rich, because everybody's bringing down like high industry. But then the Minerva side of it is, what is this going to result? What is going to happen to us in the future?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you have religion that develops that ends up diverting into 2 different sects because of this.
So a non-yin and yang sort of thing, could be a symbol that we see all over the planet in the ruins. Like some sort of two-sided thing
Oh, that's dope.
That's
that
really
are
good. I like it.
that's
I
our
really
religious
like it.
symbol.
Hell yeah.
I've always wanted the opportunity to drop like gender roles portrayed in a really like completely different way. And what if like the people of this civilization, their gender role is based on like whether they worship Minerva or Diana?
Oh,
And-
born under Diana, born under Minerva.
Yeah. Well, maybe, or you know, if
It's not assigned to you at birth. It's a felt, a self-determined
yeah,
identity.
and if your belief, not belief system, but if what you value changes, you can transition essentially. Not that like it has anything to do with your body, but it's like your gender again. Like I'm focusing on gender roles, not like sex or gender expression. I guess that is gender expression anyway. But like, it's not really.
I'm having a hard time parsing changes in gender roles over like the suns, right? If you worship the sun and you worship Minerva,
Mhm.
how does a person who expresses masculinity under Minerva and a person who expresses femininity under Minerva, or somebody in between those spectrums, like how does it impact it there? Like it seems to me like
So
gender roles are different.
I don't think it's an
from, like,
expression
the roles of your
yeah, I don't think
your
it's an
son
expression of
and-
masculinity or femininity. It is an expression of I am someone who focuses on the celebration and the benefits and excitement, you know, the boons, because I worship Diana, or I'm someone who in my life, I'm very focused on being critical on the things that it costs us, on the things that are changing and need to be addressed.
It's
because
not
I
really
worship
gender
Minerva.
roles at all. I think that that's a misleading way of characterizing it. It's more of like it's a more
like it's a societal role.
Okay, yeah, a societal role, right?
Sure.
As determined by your devotion to one of the two sister sons.
Right. And my parents,
Okay.
they raised me to be an optimistic Diana, but I'm going through my terrible teens and fuck it, I'm a Minerva right now. So they can just fucking deal with it. I don't care if they write me out of their will.
It's a society with like strong astrology vibes, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
maybe they put a lot of weight into like,
Yeah, I dig it.
like you're either a Diana or a Minerva, and like we need both, we respect both, but how you show up like in your day-to-day life is very much based in your belief of like positivity, or like critical, I don't know what the word would be, but like
Andy, what card did you draw?
anyway, I don't think it'll end up being important to the story, but I just thought that this was a cool opportunity to like, oh, there's a dichotomy in their society and both are valued, as Brian brought up the yin and yang. Anyway.
6.
6 are we on, Nick?
This is our second 6.
Someone returns, and I'm sorry, I'm not dropping that to cut you off. I don't want to finish your thought.
It's all good. John interrupted me and cut off my thought, so it's fine.
That was a 5-minute tangent, boys. Nothing to do with the game.
Someone returns to our place changed. Who are they and how are they different? I would say that this might be like some of the early astronauts of this civilization, who made some of the first forays out into the space around Beanstalk, and they have gotten their own alien version of the overview phenomenon, where the problems and fuckery of the sort of small life on the actual surface of the planet like means nothing to them because of how small it all is, and they try to share and maybe even evangelize that that viewpoint that like this obsession over this ore and over this, you know, you're a Diana, I'm a Minerva is just like meaningless because the nebula is so much bigger than that, and that causes some social rifts amongst people trying to, you know, focus on bigger things versus being caught up in their star identity.
Wow. Very deep. That's probably like
Word.
a catalyst for some huge social change for this civilization.
Yep.
If people believe it and decide to act on it.
But of course, you know, capitalist miners who are just getting that ore, getting those crystals, they're just like, yeah, whatever. We got shit
I
to
just
do
want to
down here,
make
so-
money.
Yeah, there's no money in space exploration.
I just want to Scrooge McDuck dive into my piles of soul crystals.
How many 8s are we on?
This is our second 8, John.
The news is dramatic and tensions are high.
What is the news? How is this reaction physicalized in space? All right. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little distracted with Coffee Traveler deleting every single one of my messages while you were talking, Andy. And chat restricting me. But can you please repeat the last bit so I don't just say what you just said again on accident? What was your card? People came back from space. The astronauts showed up.
Yes, I said Beanstalk's earliest astronauts or space explorers have like gotten, you know, they've sent several expeditions out. There's maybe a whole community of like people who have explored sort of nearby space, and they have an overview effect, which is making them not care about the small problems and try to emphasize focusing on.
Then I'm going to take this opportunity to set in the dramatics of why we think a worldwide conqueror is coming to fuck everybody's days. I think one of those astronauts also came back, but with a different message. This guy physically saw from like a either hollow port or a viewing portal onto the planet itself that is beginning to see the seeds or a gaping wound of the environment and the volcanic bits coming up, and is looking like, oh hey, that's probably a problem, guys. Which would be dramatic. The tensions would become higher after this, and creates a physical reaction in space.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Greg,
As
your
Greg
draw.
furiously writes.
Sorry.
You're
good.
fine, bro.
That is a 10 of clubs.
Time
It brings to a
passes.
close the
Okay.
age of
Sun beats down, the wind rises, water rises, whatever the
yes.
island thing is.
Okay. Do you want to go ahead and roll the die then?
I will. 5 centuries will pass.
Oh my god. Which which
Are we right
direction
back
do you
where
want
we
to go?
started again?
Almost.
What's that?
What were you saying?
I don't recall.
You going forward or
Okay.
back?
I'm going to go forward. We're going to go specifically to the century where this civilization leaves Beanstalk. We've saw just after, and we've seen them at their height. Now we see them leaving.
Awesome.
Cool.
100 years in past. They are the beans. Oh god, the beanstalkers.
The Anti-Verdants,
Oh yeah, that's right.
is
The
the name that
Anti-Viridians
we've given.
are
Anti-Viridians, not
leaving.
Anti-Verdants.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. So we still answer these questions. Do they still live here? It sounds like yes, but they're on their way out.
Yes.
What does the place physically look like now? I think we have a pretty obvious answer here. It's getting extremely volcanic.
Yes.
Hellscape.
Yes.
Very volcanic.
Smells like sulfur.
Mm-hmm.
The
And
oceans
then
have boiled the salt from the water itself.
is this place still called, what did we call it? Stock?
Beanstalk. Yes.
Okay. Wait, was that the name
believe
for the
so.
planet or the name of the effect? Or both?
No,
I think-
that's the name of the planet. The coincidence is that they also were inspired to name the planet based off this exact same phenomenon, but to them, their like early, priests or whatever didn't see a sword; they saw a beanstalk. So.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
And then when the humans get there, they see it and they go, "Oh, it's a sword." So we'll call this planet Saber.
Okay. All right.
So now it has no name as people leave who have named it. Now it's whatever, it will become whatever the Moss will call it.
Okay. In that case, Greg, would you like to resume normal play and draw a card?
I absolutely will. I have drawn a 6.
This is our third 6.
This is our third 6. Thank you. Something small but noticeable is destroyed. Where was it, and who or what destroyed it? I think what was destroyed that is small but noticeable is a bacteria.
Ooh.
There was a bacteria naturally occurring in the waters, and as this disaster has come to pass, the volcanic activity has increased. This bacteria has died off, and this bacteria was the thing that was the catalyst of what we now know as the moss, but at the time was the material by which they kept the planet from getting worse, from degrading. At the height of their scientific achievement, they used this bacteria to maintain the ecology of the planet, but it was destroyed in this crisis, and now the planet is regressing into this molten hellscape that has been put off for centuries.
Wow. Wow.
Cool.
Fantastic.
Jeez.
I got the 4 of Hearts. This is our first 4. What is the primary building or natural material of our place? Well, it was what would they build? I mean, it's just a natural building material, stone.
I mean, if your civilization is fucking off and leaving the planet, every resource is being put into shipbuilding, right?
Yeah. Yes. So I think it's their metal. They're putting a lot of metal into their ships to make them sturdy for flight. And they are leaving behind many buildings made of stones, plastics, metals.
Non-essentials.
Yeah. They're much like our civilization, they've used different materials over the centuries, but they are abandoning those behind. Brian.
I'm coming.
Right.
Yes. Don't forget, guys, if you have your answer and you're struggling, you can always do the focus situation, which we have not done many of. 7.
Good.
Our first 7.
You don't want to tell stories, John? I know you love stories.
I do love stories. But what's the 7?
7.
What is the most beautiful thing in or about our place?
Brian.
Well, at this stage, most of the beautiful things are slowly going away. So what is the most beautiful thing left?
Decay.
No.
I
I would
think
say-
there's some beauty
Go ahead,
in
John.
like the destruction of a thing, even if it is
Hmm.
like your home world, like a great big flower blooming in a way as lava just pours out.
What were you gonna say, Brian?
Yeah, fuck you, Brian. And
I don't know. I was kind of gonna say the sun's in the sky.
As a add-on,
Hmm.
I wonder if the suns in the sky, Diana, Minerva, that have been so worshipped by these people, are symbols of hope. They
Diana
are
is.
the beauty is the hope that what they've put into effect will allow them to return one day and see these beautiful suns again.
And if they don't return and never come back to this place, it's Minerva, showing the destruction and the eventual despair of life, but then also the passing and the moving on, the anti-hope, the yin and the yang together.
Right. Like, yeah,
I-
things are shit now, but there's always going to be, you know, a bright spot eventually.
I wonder if that's somehow beautiful. So like there's this contrast, right? There's those who worship Diana and they are full of hope of return. And there are those who worship Minerva, and in the same view of the two suns, they see nihilism and they see a meaninglessness of space and of their planet. And to them, that's beautiful. The like absence of meaning frees them.
Hmm. Okay.
Andy, draw a card.
draw that 10. Let's get out of here.
Drawn
Fuck.
a 5.
It's our third 5.
Such
There is a union. My favorite. Is it political, emotional, marital? What is newly aligned? So since the planet was called Beanstalk, I think they would refer to this encroaching volcanic catastrophe as the wilt. I think there is a finally this like begrudging union between the people who have now for centuries been like, we're killing the planet, we need to do something about it, and this sort of reluctant finally like, well, we've set up this new thing that will heal the planet and we are leaving to let it do its work. And this the union between these groups, which have been so vehemently politically opposed to each other for so long, they are having to sort of like confront sharing together the tiny space of these survival spaceships that they're boarding, because like this is an act for their survival. It is not fixing, I think I'm sure there's a lot of people who are like, this isn't going to change anything, and different viewpoints attached to different political sides of this world, but they have to just unify in survival. So there's this sort of like begrudging, like, yeah, we're in this together, you fucking idiot kind of attitude on board these ships as these people board them.
That's the optimistic outcome of the film Look Up, or Don't Look Up.
Is it? I'm not seeing.
It would have been,
haven't seen it.
but that movie just ended horribly. So, like,
Right.
well written.
Don't Look Up. Remind me what Don't Look Up
that's
is.
the one with Leo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence, where like they are like, hey, there's a meteor heading to our planet, we're all gonna fucking die, we need to do something, and the media's just like, oh, good one, we like to keep things light here, and then the scientific and political communities just have a fucking field day.
The satire.
Yes, the satire.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I knew I recognized the name, and I was having a hard time placing it.
Yeah. I won't spoil it, but the optimistic outcome is
John, what
they unite.
do people eat and drink here?
How many nines have we had, Nick?
First one.
This is our first one.
Not much. They're entering cryosleep, baby. Probably amino acid fluids to keep their bodies hydrated as they freeze themselves.
Ooh, would we say that the anti-grading people don't view the moss as a food? Like they're not bringing it on the ship to grow food for themselves. Like they don't even consider it as a source of nutrition.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, at this point, the moss isn't even there; it's being created, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Or maybe it's appearing, but they don't really understand what it is because they're so focused on getting the fuck out.
I thought we established that they created it to terraform the planet.
Well, it sounded like it was based on what I think Greg said. The bacteria's purpose was to do that, but it accidentally got destroyed, and eventually the moss spawns from what survives of that. Is that was my understanding? Is that right?
Well, we could go with that. My thought was that the bacteria was destroyed, and the moss might be a like synthetic kind of replacement of the moss, right? Because we had established in the fiction these people created the moss to like help their planet, and so like using that bacteria as a blueprint, they created this reversing moss effect. But I mean, maybe this planet just gives rise to a certain type of life form that has that healing effect. And maybe you're right. Maybe they leave, and what we find out in this moment is that they didn't create the moss, that the moss kind of was an accident of nature as they leave the planet, and the planet is healing itself.
I'm curious what you all think is more interesting. The idea that like nature has the solution to all of our corporate hellscape problems, and it like developed on its own, or like, oh, it was like a backup, someone made it and then they thought it wasn't going to work, so they just left it, but it ended up thriving, like just some weird solution that was abandoned. But
it's the idea that some rando who's just like, guys, I've got it all figured out, enjoy your flight, and then he just hurls a vial of something into like the lava ocean, gets obliterated, and then all this stuff happens of its own.
I never liked the ideas of intently intelligent solutions to problems just happening by accident. But that's me.
wait, you repeat that?
What?
I don't like the idea. I don't like the idea that it's complete accident that the planet reverses itself.
You want it to be intentional.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Then we will go with it being the moss being man-made.
I have to go with my.
Well, not man-made.
That's just my opinion.
Viridian made.
Anti-Viridian made.
Yeah. Yes.
Whose card draw is it?
Oh, is it mine?
I don't know.
Oh, it's Greg's. It is Greg's.
It's myself. Okay. A 2, I believe, is our fourth.
This is our fourth too.
Mm-hmm.
A breakthrough moment in technology, arts, politics, philosophy, or daily life tips the scales of power balance. What was this breakthrough, and how does it play out socially? I don't know. I don't really see a need to go into a focus situation here. So I think the obvious answer is the moss is discovered in this century. As we view the planet Beanstalk in its last kind of moments before the exodus of this civilization of anti-Viridians, the scientists have been laboring hard using like the knowledge that they have of this dead bacteria, like kind of wiring the native moss to kind of make this effect. And they successfully do that, right? And they release it into the wild, and it tips the scales of power in that instead of fleeing and like needing to find somewhere else to live, like there's this belief that the people could return, right? That home can be rebuilt here where it started. So this is less of a leaving a dying planet behind to go somewhere new, and more a hopeful tale of correcting past mistakes and then being able to return later.
Yeah, I really like that. Okay. I drew our second 9. Someone or a group leaves our place. Okay. Yes. Who are they and where are they going? All right. I pass. Let's just
Pass
keep moving.
card.
I'm just passing.
Okay.
Go ahead, Brian.
It's a 4.
This is our second 4.
The bar opens their doors to all. What is the bar and who is a regular here? Or the church changes a core mandate. What is the church and what about their worldview has shifted? I think we'll go with the church. Changing their mandate of the followers of Diana are saying this place will return to its former glory. We shall leave and we shall go. And we shall find a new place to create our home and then return. While the followers of Minerva are like, this moss won't work. This planet is destroyed and it is done with. Let us find a new place, settle there, stay there, and make that our home. There is a deep internal debate as they are preparing to leave as to whether or not each camp wants to come back. Maybe some do and some don't.
Okay. Andy.
Yes. 7.
This is our second 7.
Invent a specific street, building, corner, overlook, or meeting place. What is it called officially, and what do the locals call it? So when the last ship has left for the ceremony, they've built this sort of like plinth in their old town square, where the last landing, leg will lift off from the ground, and they've created a monument there to their own people, a statue with 7 or so allegories of them, not to be confused with the tale of Atlantis. On board were the 12, the farmer, the scientist, the poet, the magician. As they leave, these sort of like archetypes of their community are represented in these statues that they left behind, one of every aspect of life. And that statue is left in place just below the final departing ship, that they have renamed Departure Square.
The Departure Square?
Departure.
Oh, Departure Square. Thank you.
Can I add that Departure Square just so happens to stand upon the same hill that is the monument that we find in future centuries?
Blade View.
Yeah.
Good old Blade.
Seems like some sort of story might happen there, wherein intrepid people find something beneath the moss on Bladeview Hill.
Weird. All right. Thank you, Andy. John, just really quick, I know we're like a little over on time. What I'm thinking is we just finish this cycle and we call it good.
Okay.
What do you all think?
I like that plan.
Is,
How many aces do we have?
Andy and Greg?
Oh, shit.
Sure.
Or do you want to explore the arrival of humans on our society, possibly in the 4th round?
I would be interested in doing another round, but it doesn't have to be tonight, right?
Okay.
We could do it another time.
yeah, then let's
be a
plan
good break.
next week to do the 4th cycle and then character creation. And
Sounds good.
I will
Yeah.
communicate with you all like other factions and stuff going on like tomorrow, so that you have more to work with in terms of your character backstory and stuff. Okay, let's finish this cycle and we'll call it good. You said ace, John?
Yep.
This is our 4th ace.
Nice. Sometimes change is so slow that the world shifts unnoticed. What is the groundswell? I'm gonna pass on this one, guy.
Do you want to
narrative?
do you want to do a focus situation at all? Maybe tell a story about a named character or anything.
Also, do something that's stirring beneath the surface, inherently dark and sinister that nobody notices because the planet is folding upon itself.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna harken back to my apocalypse meme that I introduced like 2.5 hours ago, and that someone, maybe something, maybe a weird different entity, or maybe just one guy with a death wish, put all of this apocalypse in motion, with intent to get these people out of this world, and just leave it as like a background mystery, I suppose, because I don't want to spend like a 10-minute story time. Someone knew that this magma emergence would occur and was more than willing to help facilitate even more destruction.
Okay.
I think that puts us at Greg whenever he's done making notes.
Sorry, I'm slow.
Do not apologize, sir.
An 8 of spades.
3rd 8.
Someone or a group of people come to our place. Who are they and why have they come? Do they bring anything with them?
The Harkaway Fellowship, and they brought cookies.
They brought orphans. It turns out the moss was orphans all along.
Hello, sir. Can I carry your bag for you?
I think that we are going to leave the frame with this 8. I'll discard it, and we're going to leave the frame. And we're no longer in this same time. We fast forward centuries and centuries into the future of when we will be playing. And we see a group of Anti-Viridians on a different home planet, and they are watching the planet of Saber as it currently exists in the future. And they see the progress, and they see the biblical sign of Diana and Minerva converging, the sword, the saber as it is now known, coalescing, and you hear 2 priests, one brightly colored in white flowing robes and gold bright trim, another in dark blue hues, look to each other. The opposite sides of each star Diana and Minerva pendant hang from their necks, and in unison they turn to each other and they say, "It's time." And it's there that we blink back into our moment.
I have goosebumps. Okay. I drew our 4th 3. A bad decision leaves marks on the land. What was this decision, and what trace does it leave? I think that there were a number of different groups working on the problem, on trying to solve this this destructive force and save their planet. You know, some were like, okay, we've got a long-term solution. We'll make this moss. We'll leave it behind and we'll come back one day. There were others that attempted to leave or to make an impact right away, but it just didn't go well. And I think a device was detonated in the biome that today, in the present, is still sulfurous and devastated. And it
Is that perhaps the one place the moss doesn't grow?
I think there within that biome there is a spot like the detonation space the moss cannot grow. I think someone described like the moss still grows there over the scarred area very, very slowly and not super effectively, but it still grows. But there is a spot where no moss will ever grow.
Absolutely. Is it a scientific thing? Was this a competing group of scientists, or was this done by a different faction of Antiviridians?
I don't think anyone knows. I think in the chaos of people trying to like solve this, you know, the government throwing money at different task forces, no one living today has any recollection or could tell you. Like that knowledge of who it was is lost and what it was. All right, Brian.
That's the 10.
All right.
We have moved to the next round.
Okay. Wow, we drew a lot of cards this round. 13.
I think it seems that some of us are a little tired, burned out. I think we might not roll the dice or move forward, or we'll just call this 10 the end of our session. And then when we come back next week, we can kind of frame the next cycle with those rolls and start from there.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you to everyone who joined us for this special world building episode. Again, next week we will wrap up this game of The Ground itself, which I believe is by Everett Pimpkin. I'm probably getting the name so wrong. I think it's worth saying it is by Everest Pipkin. And it's a fantastic game. You should check it out, use it to world build in your own games, or just have a fun night with your friends. Speaking of, thank you, Brian, Andy, John, and Greg for joining me today. I'm looking forward to more this season, and we will chat more about character stuff so that we can do character and crew creation next week after we wrap up this game.
Nice.
Any plugs or sign-offs before we go?
No, I think we're all good.
All right. Thank you everyone for watching. Come hang out with us in the Discord. Let us know what you thought. And we'll see you next week here on Fable Table. Have a great rest of your evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.